ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं च शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं फलं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि वचक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्रह्माय नमः। Can everyone say Hare Ram Krishna 3 times? Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, and Om Parasaraya Namaha 3 times. Om Parasaraya Namaha, Om Parasaraya Namaha, Om Parasaraya Namaha. We have a few guests here. They just want to listen. Normally the way for the guests, normally the way class is organized is we have 2 halves. In the first half we go through a Sanskrit classic. I read the verses and I give my interpretation. So this is going to be theoretical. And the second half will be seeing a chart, a practical chart. And for that we normally put a projector and you can see whatever I am seeing on the screen, but unfortunately we forgot it today. These guys forgot it today, so we'll have to share the computers. So we'll start the first half. So we are in chapter 33, right? Chapter 33, verse 61. Swamshadekadashe sthane shubhaketayutekshe bhratrasaukhayuto balah sarvakaryeshu labhakrit Swamshad ekadashe sthane. In the 11th house from the Karakamsha. Shubhaketa yutekshite. Shubhaketa means benefit planet, a functional benefit. Yuta means conjoined by, Ikshita means aspected by. So if a functional benefit is either conjoining or aspecting the 11th house from the Karakamsha. And Karakamsha is one particular sign, a reference point in the chart. There is a planet called Atma Karaka who signifies your soul in the chart. And the position occupied by that planet in a divisional chart is called Karakamsha. It basically shows your inner sense of self, who you are. So from that reference, if the 11th house is either occupied or aspected by a functional benefit, then we come to the result. The result is Ratra Saukhya Yuto Balaha Sarva Karyeshu Labhakrit. Ratra Saukhya Yuto Balaha means he is Bhratru Saukhya. Bhratru means siblings. Saukhya means happiness. Yuha means having. So the person is endowed with happiness from siblings. The person is very happy with respect to siblings, has a good relation with the siblings, and is very happy on account of that. Sarva karyeshu labhakrit. Sarva karyeshu, in all endeavors, labhakrit. He will be profitable. He will be fortunate in all his dealings. He will be very lucky, a lucky person, and also has a good relation with the sibling or siblings. Now, which divisional chart must he be referring to here? The first one, Bhratra Saukhya Yuto Balaha, happy with the siblings. That obviously has to be with respect to D3, the third divisional chart, because that is the chart that shows anything relating to siblings. On the other hand, Sarva Karyeshu Labhakrit, he is very, all the works that he wants to do, he does them successfully and profitably. Which chart we refer to here? D10. For those who only know Western astrology and just trying out the class, I just want to say a couple of sentences. We have the physical chart, right? The physical chart that says Sun is in Virgo right now or Moon is in Gemini, like that, right? So apart from that physical chart, in Vedic astrology, we have some abstract charts. What we do is, we divide each sign into, let's say, 3 equal parts, or 10 equal parts, 20 equal parts, 24 equal parts. We divide and we remap them to the 12 signs. So we say, for example, in Aries, the first part goes to Aries, the second part goes to Taurus, third part goes to Gemini. Like that, there can be n parts, depending on which divisional chart you are using. You may be dividing into 10 parts, you get one mapping. You may divide into 20 parts, another mapping, 16, 24, there are different numbers. And by dividing signs into different number of subparts, equal parts, and mapping them back to other signs, you basically construct other charts. So right now, Jupiter may be in Pisces, but if you look at a particular divisional chart like D, we call them D some number, and that number tells you how many parts of the sign you have made. So in D10, which is the chart to see the career of the person, the work of the person, in that chart, Jupiter may be somewhere else. He may not be in Pisces right now. He may actually be in Scorpio, or is he actually in Capricorn right now? But it can be any of the 12 signs. It doesn't have to be the sign that he physically occupies. And the in Vedic approach, each divisional chart, each DN, shows a particular area of life. It throws light on that particular area of life. And D1, which is basically the physical chart, because you haven't divided each sign into n parts, you have divided each sign into one part. So Aries is Aries, Taurus is Taurus, Gemini is Gemini. So that chart is called D1. That is the physical chart. It's also known as Rashi chart. And that chart shows the physical aspects of the person, how beautiful the person is, how healthy the person is. Various things relating to the physical body will be shown in that chart, because those are the physical positions of the planets. Whereas the other ones are abstract positions. When I say right now Jupiter is in Capricorn in D10, he's not really in Capricorn, it's an abstract concept. So similarly, the work done by a person, the knowledge possessed by a person, the religiousness of the person, these are all abstract concepts, these are not physical. So they are shown by the divisional chart, but they may lead to some activities physically. So that will reflect in the D1. So D1 shows everything physical, and other charts will show other aspects of the personality, of the person. So the first part is the 11th house from Karakamsha is occupied or aspected by functional benefits. Then the person will be happy with siblings, has to be seen in D3. And if the same combination is satisfied, the person will be very lucky in all his dealings. That is to be seen in D10, which is the chart of works of the person. The next verse, verse 62. Ekadashe sapapetu Kumar Gallabha Krunnaraha Vikhato Vikrami Chaiva Jayate Natra Samsayah Ekadashe sapapetu. Ekadashe is the 11th house from what period mentioned. So obviously the same thing that he mentioned earlier, Karakamsha. If the 11th house from the Karakamsha, Sapapetu is containing a Papagraha, means a malefic planet, a functional malefic. So if a functional malefic is in the 11th house, Kumarga Ladhakrunnaraha. Kumarga means by devious path, by a bad path, by an evil path, Ladhakrunnaraha. The person will make profits. So the person will make profits by doing bad things, by doing wrong things, maybe illegal things or maybe immoral things. Vikhyato Vikrami Jaiva. Nevertheless, Vikhyataha and Vikrami. Vikhyataha means he is well known, he is famous. Could be infamous, but at least he is known among people. Vikrami Jaiva. Vikrami means he is bold, he is a very brave person. So the person will be brave and well known, but he will get profits by doing devious things, by doing wrong things. Jayate natra samjaya, there is no doubt. So here he is saying, if the 11th house from the Karakamsha is having malefic influences, then the person will be on the bad path, but he will be successful. Bottom line is, the 11th house is the house of profits, is the house of gains that you make, is the house of fulfillment of your desires. The three Kamatrikonas, the three trines of desire, 3rd, 7th and 11th, are important for pursuing your desires. 3rd is the seed, it is the initiative from which your desires are born. And 7th is actually pursuing your desires. It's the desire itself, 7th house shows desires and pursuit of desires. And the 11th house, the culminating house of the trine, the trine, that shows fulfilling your desires so that you are happy. So that is fulfillment of all your desires and profits. So If that house from the Karakamsha contains any planet, benefic or malefic, the person will be lucky. Any planet influencing that house will give the person gains materially. Materially there will be gains. The person will profit. However, depending on the nature of the planet, if it is a good planet, it will be through a good path. If it's a bad planet, it will be through a bad, potentially a bad path. The next verse is Karakamsha Jayasthane Tadgruhe Sadjayo Bhavet Atadjayo Subhegneyo Graha Bhavete Satphalam Karakamsha Jayasthane. In the 12th house from the Karakamsha. Sadgrahe Sadjayo Bhavet. Sadgrahe means if a good planet is. So in the 12th house, now we are done with the 11th house. 11th house is mainly for gains. Now we are coming to the 12th house. If the 12th house from Karakamsha has a good planet, then Sadjayo Bhavet means there will be good expenses. There will be expenditure on good deeds. Suppose the 4th lord is there. Then there will be expenses on maybe buying a house or buying good clothes, buying good jewelry, etc. Let's say there is 5th lord there. Maybe it is for getting some scholarship, buying books. It could also be expenses for your son, your daughter, your children to get them educated or sending them to school or for whatever purpose on account of children. Similarly, if the 7th lord is there, it could be on account of your spouse, to make your spouse happy. Not necessarily spouse. 7th house is also the house of business. So it may be an expense to grow your business, for a partnership. So like that, depending on, let's say it's the 9th lord. 9th lord, let's say, is in the 12th house. Then it will be an expense on account of 9th house matters. It can be father, it can be religion. You may construct a temple or church. You may establish a religious organization and you may spend a lot of money for that. So basically for the 9th house related matters. So depending on which house, lot of which house is in the 12th house, there will be expenses on that account. Atadjayo Subhegneyo Graha Bhavete Satphalam. On the other hand, if there is a bad planet there, a malefic planet, a planet owning bad houses there, then the expenses will be on a bad matter. For example, let's say the 6th lord is there in the 12th house. 6th house is the house of overcoming your obstacles, sickness, disease, enmity, rivalry, etc. So if the 6th lord is in the 12th house, you may be having expenditure to fight, let's say, court cases, to fight litigation, or you are sick and you have to spend a lot of money to overcome your sickness, to cure yourself, or you have a lot of enemies and you are fighting them, so you have to spend money on your enemies. So stuff like that.
Spending money, from which chart do we see?
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good question. Now, our question is, which divisional chart is appropriate for this? What is the divisional chart? For me?
If you say this, because
Yeah. Right. So the question is this. This is a good question. Now, as far as money matters are concerned, there is one divisional chart to be seen. However, when you are talking about litigation, D6 is the chart. When you are talking about sickness, D6 and D30 are the charts. Right? If you are talking about enemies, it's D6. So depending on which matter you are seeing, there may be a divisional chart. So should you see from the divisional chart or should you see from the chart that shows money?
I think it should be division.
There is
a relation between D2 and...
Exactly, right. So the thing is, D2 is the chart that shows your wealth, your money, all your financial dealings, your financial life is from D2. So if a planet is in the 12th house in D2, it is showing expenses. Financially, you are losing money. Either losing in the 12th house is not just losing. It may be losing or intentionally and consciously spending. It may even be donating, giving away, but basically letting it go. 12th house is the house of letting things go. So, if the 12th from D2 is having a planet, let's say, the 12th from Karakamsha in D2 is having a planet, you know that relating to whatever that planet shows, relating to that there will be expenses. And to see what that planet actually stands for, you can go to various divisional charts. Suppose you go to D20, which is the chart of religious and spiritual activities. In D20, let's say the ninth lord, the planet who has a strong link to the ninth house in D20. Let's say he is in the 12th house of losses in D2, the chart of money. Then you say the person spends a lot of money on religious dharma, to do righteous and pious acts relating to religion and spirituality. Similarly, let's say, actually I know one example where in the D9, the 6th lord, he happens to be in the 12th house in the D2. So, in the D9, what is D9? D9 shows marriage. It shows your spouses and relations and all that kind of relations. So, in D9, the 6th house will show quarrels with the spouse, divorce, this kind of. 7th house is marriage. 6th house is loss of marriage, letting the marriage go. So it's either being separated from the spouse or getting divorced. So let's say a planet having a strong link to the 6th house in D9. Let's say he is showing loss of money in the chart that shows money. Then on account of his divorce, the person has to spend a lot of money. So maybe he gets a divorce where there is a huge settlement, or he fights a prolonged litigation where he has to spend a lot of money. So like this, you can combine. Similarly, let's say D6. A planet, let's say, owns the 8th house in D6. What does 8th house show in D6? D6 is the chart of any health problems, external health problems. And what does 8th house show? One of the things it shows is chronic disease, things that bother somebody for a long time. It can also show diseases that just come suddenly. It can also show diseases that are tough to diagnose, because 8th house is the house of secret, it's the house of the hidden. So 8th house can show diseases that are very tough to diagnose. You don't know exactly what's going on. So the thing is, if that planet having a strong link to the 8th house in D6, the chart of disease, let's say he is also badly placed in the Rashi chart, having to do with the 6th house or the 8th house, the two houses of sickness. Because Rashi is the chart of physical body. So you know that there is some problem and physically the person actually has a disease. And let's say that planet is showing a lot of loss of money in the chart of money. Then you can say the person will spend a lot of money on his sickness. He will get sick and he will have to spend a lot of money. So the bottom line here is you can actually mix various divisional charts. When you say a planet is in Aries in D10, the thing is the Aries that you talk about in D10 and the Aries that you talk about in D20 are not different. It's the same Aries. Except that the planet, the physical planet is in Aries in maybe in D1 chart, but the abstract representation of the planets for material, for career purposes or spiritual purposes or various other purposes, the abstract representation of the planet may be in Aries, but in the same Aries. So the thing is, you can connect various divisional charts either through the signs or through the planets. So if the same planet is having a link with two different houses in two different divisional charts, there is some connection. The planet, when its period comes, it will bring some connection between those two parameters. Same with the signs. The next verse is Karakamsyadhyasthane Swabhotasthe Shubhagrahe Sargadirjayate Tasya Shubhalokamavapnuyat. Karakamsyadhyasthane, in the 12th house of the Karakamsya, Swabhotasthe Shubhagrahe, Swabha Uchasthe Shubhagrahe. If a big planet is in Swabhe, Swabha Ucha. Swabha means Swabha. Bha means house, Swa means own house. If a good planet, if a functional benefit is in own house, or Uchasthe, in exaltation sign. So there is a functional benefit in the 12th house from Karakamsya, but that's not all. The planet is either exalted or in own house. Then what is the result? Sadgatirjayate tasya shubhalokamavapnuyat. Sadgatirjayate tasya. The person will get, he'll find after death, his soul will go to a good loka. Loka means world. It will go to a good world. Basically the concept in Hinduism is there are several worlds apart from the earth that we inhabit. There are 7 worlds above and 7 worlds below. There are overall 14 worlds. And when you say world, it's not like it's something you physically you run or walk or fly and go. These are just worlds that are in the mind. These are realms of consciousness. These are planes in which your consciousness can dwell. Even when you are alive on earth, your consciousness can actually go to those realms and interact with other beings who are in those realms. So these are just realms of consciousness, and the idea is once the soul has to leave the body, the body has been destroyed, the person is dead, the soul can no longer inhabit the body. The idea is it can either remain stuck there for a while in denial, unable to accept the fact that it can no longer use the body to do things that it wants to do. It can be stuck for a while. To give a simple and stupid analogy, this is like somebody who lived in a house for 70 years and he loves that house, he is so attached to the house, and the person is evicted from the house for some reason, he can't enter the house again, and the person may just remain there waiting to get into the house, hoping that somebody will again let him into the house. So that is one possibility. The other is once the person accepts the fact that he can never get into that house again, it's done, that house is gone, it cannot return, then he can either move into a new house, which means basically being reborn, finding another body to be reborn. So the soul can be reborn in another body, and some of the thoughts, some of the desires that the soul had before rebirth, that will basically continue after rebirth, and that will form the horoscope of the person, depending on the merits of the person and the demerits of the person. How many sins the person has done, how many meritorious deeds the person has done. He or she will get a good horoscope or a bad horoscope, where certain things will come easily, certain things will come with a lot of difficulty, depending on what you deserve as a result of what you did in the previous life or previous several lives. So the person can get a life, or another possibility is you don't live in that town at all, you just leave the town and go somewhere else. When your house is destroyed, you just go to a different town. So like that, the mind and the soul, they don't think about the body, they don't worry about the body, they just go to a realm of consciousness, one of the 14 realms of consciousness, and just dwell there for as long as it is allowed to. And when the merit or the demerit of the person has been exhausted, if you have a merit, you will go to higher worlds, the so-called higher worlds. If you have demerits, more sins, you will go to one of the lower realms, which may be called by some people as hell, heavens and hell, 7 heavens and 6 heavens and 7 hells, apart from earth. So you may go to one of those places, and when the merit or demerit is exhausted, you may come back, you may be sent back to the earth to again be in a body and do either meritorious things or sins again. So anyway, so what this is saying is, if the 12th house from the Karakamsa contains a benefic planet, either in exaltation sign or in wound sign, which means basically well placed, very well placed, then the person will go to an auspicious world, an auspicious realm of consciousness after death, after this body has been destroyed. So what does it mean? I mean, what is the main lesson here? That 12th house will show where you go next. 12th house of giving up, right? 12th house is the house of, like I said, in the chart of money, it is the chart of expenses or losing money or investing money. Similarly, in another chart which will show your ego, your sense of I, this is I. You say this is I, this is my body. And then letting the body go and say being in nirvana like Buddha, for example, means you are letting it go, you are letting your body go. So 12th house of letting things go are important for basically rejecting your body and going to a higher plane, either to be reborn or to go to a different loka, different world. You have to basically give up your current body. I mean, you may be dead, but still you have to give it up. If you don't give up, you may hang around hoping that you can get back in. So 12th house of acceptance, 12th house of compromise, 12th house of giving up, that is important when you see acceptance of the soul giving up what it has now and pursuing something new. So 12th house is the house that shows the path you take after you're dead. So that is the first point. So 12th house from Karakamsa is the key factor to see what happens next. And apart from it, which divisional chart should you see this in? What is the divisional chart to see this in?
talking about leaving the physical self, so can't it be seen using D1?
Good. So this could very well be in the D1. But the thing is, D1 is not called an Amsha, so it is something else. So which heart could it be? So which chart could it be? See, D30 is the chart of sins. Sins of the person, the evils done by the person. So it could partially be applied in D30. And then D20 is the chart of spiritual and religious progress. But the thing is, it is a chart of struggle to find self. D20 is the chart of struggle to find true self, struggle to find God. So the thing is, if you let the body go, and if you are able to move on to a higher world, you have basically found God partially. God is, of course, God is on earth also. God is everywhere. God is on earth. Everything you see is God. But the thing is, He is also in the higher worlds. And even though everything is God, there is a qualitative difference between God as represented in this book, or God as represented in this computer, or God represented in the seventh heaven. So, when you move on from earth to a higher world, you have found God to a better extent than you have found now. So the thing is, you can say that this Sadgati that he is talking about is actually about finding God. And the chart for finding God is D20. So you could say that this applies to D20. So either D20 or D30 are the candidates. And unfortunately the thing is, this is something where we can't look at examples and say, yeah, this is what it must mean. If it's talking about wealth, things like that, you can look at charts of wealthy people. If it's talking about buying a house, you have so many examples of people who bought houses, sold houses, got married, got divorced, got children. So all those tangible material events, you can do studies with practical examples and you can draw your conclusions. But things like this, it's very difficult to draw your conclusions. So, in other words, you can't say, hey, so-and-so person, so-and-so great spiritual leader, after death he must have gone to a higher world. You never know basically. You never know who's capable of what. So it's very tough to find practical examples of this. And without practical examples, it's very tough to draw confident conclusions. So I'll leave this open. I don't really have a clear guidance that I can give you on this verse, unlike the other more material verses. कारकांशाद्यये केतो शुभखेटजुतेक्षिते तदात जायते मुक्तिः सायुज्य पदमाप्नुयात्. कारकांशाद्यये केतो शुभखेटजुतेक्षिते. In the 12th house from the Karakamsha, in the 12th house from Karakamsha, in the 12th house from Karakamsha, the same house that we talked about earlier, to see whether the person will go to a higher world. Ketau means Ketu. Who is Ketu? For those who are not familiar with the Vedic astrology, Rahu and Ketu are the two nodes. They are the lunar node, the north node and the south node. So north node is known as Rahu and the south node is known as Ketu. And Rahu will show material pursuit and Ketu will show spiritual pursuit, the pursuit to find the true self, God within you. That is Ketu. And Rahu is the pursuit of material happiness, to enjoy the world. That is Rahu. So the two nodes, they are always changing each other. According to the mythology, there is a story about the birth of these. There is a demon who tries to get the nectar which makes you immortal. When Vishnu, the Hindu god, was distributing nectar to all the gods, and the demon he cuts the queue, in a disguise, he sits along with the gods, he tries to drink the nectar. So there is a story. But the thing is, like most stories in Hindu scripture, they are not really physical stories. They are just metaphorical representations of some higher truths within ourselves. So basically, the story is symbolic of the pursuit of truth, the pursuit of true self that is inherently present in each soul. Each soul, according to Hindu mythology, was part of God. They were one with God in the beginning, and then they have been separated. And once you have been separated, you keep reinforcing the thought that I am different, I am limited, I am so-and-so, I am this body, I am so-and-so mind, I am so-and-so with so-and-so desires. And as time progresses, as you live in more and more bodies, these thoughts get reinforced and you forget who you are. Actually, in essence, you are part of God. But you forget it. and you keep pursuing various things. So this pursuit of various, when you see this material world around you, certain things will seem beautiful, certain things will seem ugly, certain things will seem pleasurable, certain things will seem painful, certain things will be attractive, certain things will be repulsive. So you are in this duality, in these polarities, and you are constantly going in circles in this material world. And Rahu will show that. The original demon who tried to become God, when he was cut off by Vishnu, he became immortal because he drank the nectar, but Vishnu cut him off so that he became two parts. So one part is pursuing happiness in this material world, and the other part is still aware that you have to become one with God. So, and they are trying to merge with each other so that you can find God even while living on earth and enjoying things. But that never really happens. So you have to, in order to find God, you have to overcome the material things. So Rahu and Ketu, they show the material and the spiritual. And here he is saying, if Ketu is in the 12th house from Karakamsha, then, and he is aspected or conjoined by functional benefits, then, Tadatu Jayate Mukti Savijya Padamapniyat, even then the person will get Mukti. Mukti means moksha. There is something called moksha in Hindu mythology, which is essentially like nirvana described by Buddha in Buddhism. It's basically it's a kind of bliss where you are not aware of any polarities. When you reach the state, your mind is not aware of, okay, this is me, this is somebody else, this is somebody else. There is no such thought. There is only one. You are that one, and there is no two. There is no different beings in the state. So reaching the state is either called nirvana or mukti or moksha or liberation, or there are so many names. But the bottom line is, that is the goal of every being according to Hindu scriptures. And for all you know, when Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of heaven lies within, and when he also said, the Father and Son are actually the same, this is what he could also be implying, that we are all sons of God. Just like Jesus Christ, we are also sons of God. And he said, Son and Father are the same, and the Son can merge in Father. And he also said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So, as you overcome all the weaknesses, all the desires, as your mind is absorbed in God, all these differences that this is good, this is bad, this is that, this is me, this is somebody else, all this will be removed, and then you are liberated. Once you reach the state, you are liberated forever. If you can stay in the state forever, you are liberated forever. You are part of God. Your soul, not the body. Body may decay after a while, but the soul merges back in God. So he's talking about that. He's saying, for that to happen, Ketu has to be in the 12th house from Karakamsa, and he's either conjoined or affected by Benji planets. And then he is giving, the reason being Ketu is the planet who shows liberation. Meshe dhanshvaketo karakamsya adayesthite shivaketena sandrushte savijya padamapniyat. Meshe dhanshvaketo karakamsya adayesthite. If Ketu is in the 12th house from Karakamsya, either in Aries or in Sagittarius. He is specifically saying two signs, Aries or Sagittarius. Shivaketena sandrushte. And he is again aspected by a functional benefit. Then he is saying, then also, Sayujya Padamapniyar. The person will acquire Sayujya Padam. What is Sayujya? Sayujya again means being with. Sayujya Padam means being with God. So the person merges in God. So this is again a different way of saying moksha or nirvana. So the person will merge in God, if this is the case. Why did he specifically say Aries and Sagittarius? In the previous verse, he didn't say any sign. He basically said, if he is aspected or conjoined by benefics and he is in the 12th house from Karakamsya, the person will get moksha. So why is he specifically saying Aries and Sagittarius here?
These are the first house and the ninth house.
So, these are the first house and the ninth house of the natural zodiac. So, what does it mean? My take is this. My take is, see, in Hindu mythology, we have 4 purposes of human being. They are called Purusharthas, the purposes of a human being. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. And Dharma means doing the right thing, being pure and doing righteous deeds. For example, praying to God, going to church, going to temple, helping people in need. When you have money and there is somebody in need, helping the people. So all these righteous acts, that is Dharma. And Artha is, what is Artha?
Resources.
Yeah, it's basically accumulating resources so that you can do your Dharma. Accumulating enough resources, get enough money so that you can do your Dharma. So it's not that kind of accumulation of money is not looked down upon in Hinduism. You accumulate whatever is needed to do your Dharma, to do your righteous deeds. So righteousness, accumulation of the resources, and the third one, Kama, means desire. When you do, if you actually engage in something without anything in it for you, it's very difficult to engage in something. For you to actually work and accumulate some resources, there has to be a thought of desire, some desire at the back of your mind. So Kama is desires, having some desires. But again, some desires are virtuous and some desires are evil. So having virtuous desires and accumulating enough money to do your righteous deeds and righteousness. These are the three, Dharma, Artha and Kama. Righteousness, accumulation of resources and desires. And the fourth one, the most important one, that is what liberates you. Fourth one is liberation, freedom from this all. So the thing is, freedom doesn't come by itself. If you want to say, I want to be free, I don't want anything, I want to be free, you become a monk, you shut yourself in a hut, it's not necessarily easy. You won't necessarily become liberated. Because from all the previous lives, you may have a connection with so many people. You may have a debt, a karmic debt to some people. Somebody may have helped you in their past life. Unless you pay it back, you may not become free. The nature will not let you become free. So you have to pay back all your debts. So the thing is, for that, you have to engage in righteous acts. Whatever your conscience is telling you is the right thing for you to do, you have to keep doing it. And in order to do it, you have to keep accumulating money and other resources. And you have to have some reasonable and good desires so that you continue to live in the body, you continue to use your body, you continue to use your environment. So these are the four Purushartha, these are the four purposes of a human being. And a good human being will strike a balance between all the four, and slowly as the life progresses, he will move more towards moksha. Hopefully he would have done enough dharma and enough artha, and his desires would have been fulfilled, all the good desires, and slowly he will become more and more free, more and more liberated, more and more desireless. So that is the natural progression. So the signs of the zodiac, they are divided into four parts. The fiery signs, the signs of fire, Sagittarius, Aries and Leo, these are signs that show dharma. And the Ati signs, Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn, they show artha. Because Ati sign is, artha means solid state, accumulation of resources is solid in nature. And dharma, doing the right thing, is fiery in nature, because doing the right thing is like fire. It is bright, it is full of light, it gives light, and it can burn. Sometimes doing the right thing may not be easy. In order to do the right thing, you may have to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. But when you know this is the right thing, you have to do the right thing. You may have to kill somebody, you have to hurt somebody, you may have to fight somebody in order to uphold dharma, uphold righteousness. So, dharma is associated with fiery signs. Artha, accumulation of resources, is associated with Ati signs. And desire is associated with Aries signs. Aries signs are associated with desire, Gemini, Libra and Aquarius. Why? Because desire, it's basically, once you let it in, it will basically fill the whole thing. In other words, if I put a solid material, if I put it here, it stays there. If I put liquid, a glass of water, it stays there. If I get some gas, some air and leave it in this room, it won't say, okay, he left me, this person left me here, I'll stay here. No, it fills the whole room. It becomes less dense, but it fills the whole room. So the thing is, desire, if you let it in, it basically fills your consciousness. So for that reason, desire is associated with the airy element, the element of air. And also it's very expansive, like the air. Desire is a very expansive thing. You have to be careful with that. So anyway, so air shows desire, the third Purushartha of Kama, desire. And finally, moksha is shown by the moksha or liberation is shown by the element of water. So the thing here is, he's saying, the thing is, when somebody is interested in dharma, let's say I want to build a temple, or I want to do this, I want to spread astrology, or I want to spread so and so thing in the world, because I believe it's the right thing to do. So when somebody has a mission like that, right, dharma, when somebody is into dharma, it has the chance of becoming like a mission. And when somebody is on a mission, that itself will block one from freedom, from liberation, because you are on a mission, you want to do this, and unless that is done, you don't become free. So the thing is, a powerful fiery sign in a chart will show somebody on a mission, and that can become a blockage. But he's saying, if Ketu, the planet of dispassion, the planet of detachment, the planet of liberation is there, even in such a sign, it can basically be conducive to freedom. The person will still get moksha. The next verse is, yes.
Why did you say Leo?
Yeah, you can say Leo also. The thing is, to fit in the meter, he just took a couple of examples. यये च केवले केतौ पापयुक्तेक्षितेऽपि वा न तदा जायते मुक्तिः शुभलोकं न पश्यति. यये च केवले केतौ. If Ketu is in the 12th house alone, papayuktekshitetva, or he is either conjoined or aspected by a functional malefic planet. Not a benefic, a malefic planet, like the 6th lord or 12th lord or somebody. Then, natada jayate mukti, the person will not become free. Shubhalokam napashyati. Or he doesn't go to one of the higher worlds. Basically, even though the planet of freedom is there, if there is a bad influence on him, he may not be able to give the result. So that is what he is saying. But the thing is, like I always say, you have to take things with a pinch of salt. If I want to do something, if I want to, let's say, teach astrology, and somebody else comes who doesn't like astrology, if he is basically standing behind me and trying to disturb me, there is a good chance that I will not teach astrology and leave the room. But there is also a chance that I will fight him, I will resist him, and I will still teach astrology. So the thing is, when there is a bad influence, it doesn't mean the result is totally denied. It may be that if the bad influence is not able to dominate, let's say Ketu is very strong, let's say he is in own house or he is exalted, and let's say he is in a friendly house or something like that, let's say he is able to resist, who knows? Still the person may get moksha. So you have to take these things with a pinch of salt. But the bottom line is, any influences on Ketu, bad influences, they are a problem. Any good influences are conducive. That's the bottom line. The next verse is, Ravina samyute ketau karakam chadjayasthite shiva bhaktir bhavesyat bhavetasya divisyankam dvijottama. So now he is giving specific Hindu gods to whom the person will be attached to, and then through whom the person will get moksha, who will first try to get close to them, and through them he merges in God. So there are different Hindu gods. For those who don't know much about Hinduism, Hinduism is a very complicated philosophy. People have a lot of misconceptions about Hinduism. They think it's a religion with multiple gods. That is true. But at the same time, Hinduism is also a religion of one God. Basically, Hinduism says there is an entity called Brahman or Atman, which is basically the super soul, the cosmic soul of the universe. You can approximately translate that as Holy Spirit to give the Christian equivalent, or Allah to give the Muslim equivalent. So there is this cosmic spirit, which is the source of all beings. All the beings come from it, they go back into it at the end, at the end of their cycle. So there is one God. But the thing is that divinity, that supreme cosmic divinity, it will manifest as various gods, various concentrated energies, divine energies, to take care of certain aspects of the world, like running the world. For example, to give energy to the people so that they can fight, to give prosperity to the people, to give intelligence to the people. Like that, for different aspects within a person, there are different gods. And Hinduism also says, the philosophy also says, gods are not really without, they are actually within. So in other words, within every person there are so many good qualities and bad qualities. We have laziness, at the same time we have initiative. We have the sense of right. We know what is right, we know what is wrong. There is a consciousness within us. And there is a, we have the ability to learn something new. We have the ability to learn and master various subjects of knowledge. Like that, there are so many good qualities within us. We have the compassion when we see somebody who is hurting, and the compassion to help him. So like this, there are so many good qualities within us. And the Hindu deities are simply personifications of various of the good qualities. Similarly, the demons, the evil beings that are described in Hindu mythology, the scriptures actually say that they are personifications of various bad qualities, various weaknesses within us. And there is a clash between them all the time going on. But the bottom line is, both the demons and the gods, and human beings also, and various other beings inhabiting all the 14 worlds, they all come from the same supreme cosmic being. So the same Holy Spirit is the source of all. They are all come from the Holy Spirit. And you may say that they have separated and they are living a different existence. But the Hindu philosophy actually says they haven't separated. They are within the Holy Spirit. Right now, as I talk, I am within the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit pervades the whole universe. So it's a very complicated philosophy to understand. But to simplify it, to make people understand it a little better, there is a concept of different gods. So you worship one god depending on your inclination, whoever you like. There is a god of knowledge, there is a god of bravery, there is a god of this, there is a god of prosperity. There are gods covering various aspects. So whichever you can resonate with, you worship that god, and at the end, basically, hopefully, if you make enough progress in the life spiritually, you will get close to that god. And I'll just for the newcomers, I'll just repeat an analogy that I have given in the past. There is an analogy to understand the concept of God in Hinduism. In Hinduism, God is like a diamond in the sky. When you look at the sky, a big diamond having millions of faces. When you look from distance, from Earth, it may seem like a small star, it may seem like a point. So somebody may say, oh, God is one, there is only one God. But the thing is, as you get closer to the diamond, you will see that the diamond is so big. Each side is several miles wide. There are so many sides of the diamond. And as you get closer, you will see that different sides have different properties. One may be green, one may be red, one may be blue, one may be hot, one may be cold. There are different qualities, different attributes of each face. So when you want to get close to the diamond, you have to pick a face. You can't say, I'll become close to the diamond itself. You pick a surface. You say, I like this surface. I'm closer to this surface based on where I am. So I'll choose this surface. So that is basically all these gods like Shiva, Vishnu, Gauri, etc. And they have different qualities. One may be prone to anger. One may be very gentle. One may be very fierce. One may be depicted as being blue in color. One may be depicted as being yellow in color. These are all symbols of various qualities of those gods. So they have different attributes. And it is possible to become very close to them through devotion to them. And also, the next level in Hinduism is, after you become close to them, you can actually merge with them. You can basically walk into the surface, you can become one with the surface, which means you are actually that deity. You are actually that God. When you look at the world, you look at all the people as other people, and you look at yourself as that God. And you look at all other people as having come from you. There are people in the history of mankind who have experienced these steps, where you will feel that I am Vishnu. And you see everybody is within me, they have come from me. Like that you will see the world. And the next stage in Hindu philosophy is, now you can jump inside the diamond. From the surface, you can just jump inside the diamond. And what happens when you jump inside the diamond is, the moment you jump inside the diamond, you suddenly realize that, what faces? There are no faces. Yeah. There's nothing. There's just the inside of the diamond. Some people may call it void, but the thing is, void is a very confusing word. Each word has baggage based on what they have learnt in the past. So void is one word, like some people may describe it as void, but it's either void or it's everything. It's basically the inside, it contains the seed of everything, all the faces and the outside, various beings who are outside the faces, they all are present in the inside of the diamond as a potential, as a seed. So it's like the seed, and all these are like plants which have come from the seed. So it is everything. You may call it void, but it is actually everything. Everything of the universe is contained in it. And that is Brahman, or Holy Spirit, or Allah. And it is possible to actually merge in that also. And the thing is, the interesting thing is, if you merge in that from a phase that is blue and cold, or from a phase that is red and hard, no difference. Once you go inside, it's the same. But when you are outside, on the surface, it's different. So different gods like Shiva and Vishnu, they are different. They have different attributes, different qualities. But once you are inside, there are no qualities. There are no descriptions. The God, the true God, the highest God, has no description. It's not a he or a she. It's not an it. It's not happy or sad. It's not good or bad. It's the essence of the whole universe. So anyway, I have deviated into spirituality too much. Let me go back to the astrology now. So he is giving specific gods for each planet. So each planet represents certain qualities. Each planet has a different nature. Based on it, there are different deities in Hinduism. Ravina samyute ketau karakam tyajaya sthite Sevabhaktir bhavet tasya nirvishankam Jyottama. If sun is with Ketu, if Ketu is in the 12th from Karakamsa and sun is influencing Ketu, he is either with Ketu or aspecting Ketu, etc., then our own sign that Ketu is occupying, then the person will progress spiritually through worshipping Shiva. So sun is Shiva. Chandrena samjite keto karakamcha jayasthite gaurya bhaktir bhavet tasya shaktiko jayate naraha. If it is moon, then the person will worship Gauri, the consort of Shiva, Parvati, the divine mother of the universe. Shukrena samjitore keto karakam jayasthite lakshmya sanjayate bhaktir jatako sau samruddhiman. If Venus is there in the 12th house from the Karakamsa with Ketu, if Venus influence is there instead of sun and moon, then the person will worship Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity. People make the mistake of thinking that Lakshmi is the goddess who gives you money. Because in all pictures, they show Lakshmi sitting on a lotus with lot of money, coins from her hand. But it's just one symbol. According to mythology, Lakshmi is the giver of prosperity. She has 8 forms. In one form, she is the giver of wealth. In another form, she is the giver of food. In another form, she is the giver of bravery. In another form, she is the giver of vehicles. Like that, she is the giver of various things. And in another form, the 8th form of Moksha Lakshmi, she is the giver of liberation also, dispassion. So the thing is, Lakshmi is not just money. She is the goddess of abundance. She is the goddess of prosperity. She is the goddess of well-being. Well-being in various angles, depending on which one you are attached to. In the beginning, you may need to get money. In the beginning, you may need to get food. In the beginning, you may need to get recognition from the world. But slowly, as you get one thing, you move to the next thing. As your desires are fulfilled, you move to the next thing, you move to the next thing. And finally, the goal is to become interested in Moksha Lakshmi. So when you say Lakshmi, Venus Ketu gives moksha to Lakshmi, obviously it is through Moksha Lakshmi. But in the beginning there may be a blessing of Dhana Lakshmi, the person may get wealth. But eventually it will change into Moksha Lakshmi. And the person will get the blessings of the form of Lakshmi who will give liberation. Kujena samyute keto skanda bhakto bhavennaraha. Skanda bhakto bhavennaraha, there is a typo. Skanda bhakto bhavennaraha. Vaishnavo Buddha Sauribhyam Guruna Chau Bhaktiman. If it is Mars is the fiery planet. He is the commander. He shows commander. In the planetary cabinet, Sun is the king, Moon is the, like that. There, Mars is the commander. And similarly, Skanda, he is also known as Muruga or Kartikeya, or Shanmukha or Subramanya. He is the second son of Shiva. He is the commander, the chief commander of the army of gods in the mythology. So basically, he shows all the initiative. Mars shows the initiative within you. So the initiative, the drive to do something, the bravery, the commitment to do something, which is personified by Mars, that is the commander-in-chief of the gods. Because in order for the good qualities within you to be victorious, to emerge victorious over the bad qualities within you, in order for the gods within you to emerge victorious over the demons within you, first you need to have that boldness, you need to have that initiative, you need to have that drive to make progress. So for that reason, Mars, who's the personification of the initiative and drive and the fire within you. He is depicted as the commander-in-chief of the god. So according to the story, Skanda, Kartikeya gets a boon from his father and he becomes the commander of the gods. So Mars will show Skanda. So if Mars is with Ketu, the person will progress through worshipping Subramanya or Kartikeya. And if it is either Mercury or Saturn, then it will be Vishnu, one of the Vishnu's incarnations like Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, etc. Or Vishnu directly. Guruna Devbhaktiman. If it is Jupiter, it is again Shiva. The difference is Sun and Jupiter are both showing Shiva, but Sun is fire. Shiva has various forms. One form of Shiva is the Rudra form, the destroyer. He destroys. Of course, when you say destroyer, it's not just physically ruining everything. It's basically destroying the ignorance that you are God. Destroying the ignorant idea that you are so and so, you are the body. He destroys the body and he makes you deal with the fact that you are not the body. So Shiva, the form of Shiva known as Rudra is made with fire and that is shown by Sun. So Sun is a more fiery form of Shiva. Whereas Jupiter, what does Jupiter show? He is the teacher among the planets. He is the teacher of gods. According to mythology, Jupiter or Brihaspati is the teacher of gods. So he is a kind and compassionate teacher. So the form of Shiva, there is a form of Shiva also as a teacher, the one who informs you of the great truths. So for example, Dakshinamurti form. So you are talking of Shiva in a very auspicious form like Ishana or Sadasiva or Dakshinamurti. So those are the forms that are shown by Jupiter. Rahuna Tamasin Durgam Sevate Khudra Devatam Bhakti. Rahuna Tamasin Durgam Sevate Khudra Devatam. If Rahu is there, if Rahu's influence is there, then the person will, if the strongest influence on Ketu is that of Rahu, then the person will worship Durga or such tamasic devatas. Which means, when you say tamasic devatas, people may think that some gods are tamasic. Again, I will give a little bit of philosophy. There are three basic qualities: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva is a state of purity, a state of clarity, absolute clarity, purity and clarity. And Rajas is a state of animation, a state of action, dynamism to find the truth. And Tamas, it literally means darkness. It is a state against stability and equilibrium, but a bad one, an impure equilibrium. So Sattva is a pure equilibrium, a stable and clear equilibrium, and Tamas is a dark and undesirable equilibrium, and Rajas is a state of transition, a state of animation. So these are the three qualities. Anything in the universe is governed by one of these three qualities. So suppose somebody is sattvic, which means the person has very clear ideas, he is very stable, his consciousness is very stable, he is relaxed, he is in peace, he is in bliss. So that is sattva, that is the goal of all beings. Before you become liberated, you want to become sattvic. And the thing is, some people think that being diplomatic, being nice with people, by suppressing negative emotions within you is sattva, but that is not so. Sattva is real clarity and purity in the mind. Suppose you behave in a pure way, sattvic, in a nice way, sweet way, but inside you are seething with anger, let us say. You don't like somebody, but outwardly you are behaving, yeah, that's so sweet, like that. That's not sattva. That's basically denial. The sattva that we talk about is absolute purity. Your mind is very stable, you are able to see God in everybody, you are in bliss. And tamas is total darkness. Lot of people do have lot of tamas in these. Tamas is darkness, unable to see the light, being unable to see the light. And Rajas is making conscious effort. This is a state of effort to progress from tamas to sattva. So usually people go from tamas to sattva. So some Hindu gods like Vishnu, they are depicted as sattvic gods. Whereas some gods like Durga, the fierce divine mother, or Kali, the one who is depicted as being black in color and wearing a garland made of skulls and wearing a cloth around her waist made of hands of human beings. So that fierce form is considered a tamasic form. the meaning of it is not that she is tamasic, she is filled with darkness. No god is filled with darkness. The thing is, she is capable of taking even somebody in darkness into light. Whereas a god like Vishnu, he will work on somebody who is already in sattva, he is appropriate for people who are already in sattva or rajas, people who are already clear in their mind, who are very nice, who are in peace. For them to give liberation to them, to make them remove the existing ideas in the mind, so that all ideas are removed from the mind. You are with God. For that, the sattvic gods are appropriate. Whereas, to give an analogy, suppose there is a child who is very smart. A teacher who teaches very nicely and gently is sufficient. Suppose there is a stubborn child, like I know some children who are really stubborn. So my wife is good at teaching them. She looks at them with anger. She is like, listen to me, pay attention. No fair on. Pay attention. The kids are like, okay, I have to. And the thing is, they see so much anger in her that they are basically drawn to it. So these fierce deities like Kali, Durga, that are depicted as being very fierce, they may give some trouble to you initially. They may put you through a little bit of hardship, but they can put you through discipline. Basically, they force you to have a discipline. All the negative qualities that are within you, they force you to deal with them very fast. No compromise is made. Of course, if you teach somebody who is very stubborn, a stubborn kid who is fooling around, you should keep teaching him very nicely. No, not like that. 5 plus 5, put 5 fingers, put another 5 fingers, now count them. If you say like that, he will be looking at something else. He will still learn, but it will take a long time. Whereas, he said, no, listen to me, put your hand up, like that, there is a good chance that, of course, he may also cry and not learn. That is also a possibility. But it is possible that the person will make progress faster. So some people will need that kind of attitude. So for some people, tamasic devatas are more appropriate. And he's saying if Rahu's influence is there, because Rahu is the planet of materialism, Rahu is the planet of delusion. So in that case, the person will need a tamasic devata like Durga or Kali.
This is supposed to be seen in day 20 and Ketu is always with the Rahu.
Right? Ketu is always with Rahu.
We should see the strength of Rahu there.
Yes. Even though Ketu and Rahu are together in the chart of T20 always, depending on where they are, who are aspecting them, which other planets are with them, one of them may dominate. If Ketu dominates, inherently there is interest in moksha. If Rahu dominates, it requires some strong effort.
Would the beneficency of that particular planet be connected?
That is the other thing. The thing is, Rahu may be a benefic or a malefic. In one chart, Rahu may be a 9th lord. In another chart, Rahu may be the 6th lord.
So depends from Karakamsa or from Lagna?
From Lagna. So, the functional nature is seen from Lagna. So, from the ascendant. And by the way, if you go to Jyotish writings, Yahoo group, I mean you can also go to Vedic astrology, but it will be buried in a lot of mails. But if you go to Jyotish writings, in that Yahoo group there are very few writings, so it is very easy to search that. And sometime last May or June or sometime I wrote about exactly these verses. I gave a lot of examples of people like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, people of that nature, Shivananda, Vivekananda, Sarada Mata, people that we know, who we don't know whether they got moksha or not, but we know for a fact that they made a lot of progress in that life by worshipping one particular deity. Somebody who worshipped Skanda, somebody who worshipped Ganesha, somebody who worshipped Kali, somebody who worshipped Vishnu, like that. There are examples, and I have shown how these verses are to be applied in those examples. I have given like 15-20 examples. So I suggest going back to the Jyotish writings, one word, Jyotish writings Yahoo group, and open that mail and read that article. So if Rahu is there, the person will be interested in Kali. This actually happens in the case of Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, his guru, Sarada Mata, his wife. In all the 3 charts actually this happens.
A lot of it has to do with the Capricorn also associated with it.
A lot of it has to do with?
The sign of Capricorn associated.
It's not Capricorn in all of their charts. In Ramakrishna Paramahansa's chart, is Ketugan having Rahu Ketu. In Vivekananda's chart, if I remember right, Sun is the Atmakaraka, he is in Pisces, and 12th house is not Ketugan, it's Aquarius. In Shalda Mata's chart, if I remember right, is Atmakaraka moon is in Taurus, I think, and Aries is the 12th house. So it's not Ketugan, it's basically Rahu Ketu influence being there. And there was another disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahansa that I gave as an example, I think Sugunatitananda. He was not into Kali worship. Even though he was Ramakrishna's disciple, he actually worshipped a form of Vishnu, I think Narsimha. So for him actually you will see Mercury or Saturn coming out. So in the same group of people, 3 people having Rahu Ketu influence and 1 having a different influence, Mercury influence. You can see there were like 15 to 20 examples I gave, so do study them. So the worship that somebody does and the religious activities of somebody, the pursuit of God that one engages in is to be in D20. So you have to see this in the divisional chart, the 20th divisional chart. Bhakti skandeth herambe sikhina kevalenava. If Ketu is alone, without any other modifying influences, or even though he said like this, we can also extrapolate and say, Ketu may not be alone, but he dominates over whoever he is with. If that is the case, then the result given is, where are we? Bhakti Skandeyatha Herambe. Either Skanda, Kartikeya or Heramba. Who is Heramba? Ganesha, the elephant-headed god of obstacles, overcoming obstacles. So either Ganesha or Skanda, if it is Ketu. Karakamsya dvaye kaurihi paparasho yada bhavet. Tada Bishudra Devasya Bhakti Tasana Samsayah. In the 12th house from the Karakamsya, if Saturn is there, but he is in a malefic sign, then also it will be a tamasic devata, like Kali or Durga. So Saturn earlier he said Mercury and Saturn will show Vishnu, but now he gave a rider. If Saturn is in a malefic sign, what are the malefic signs? Sign owned by natural malefics, like Aries and Scorpio, which are owned by Mars. They are evil signs. Taurus and Libra owned by Venus are benefic signs. Mercury owned signs are benefic. Sun and Moon owned signs are benefic unless Moon is malefic. Moon can be either benefic or malefic depending on whether he is full or whether he is empty or in between. So Moon is on the border, but Sun's Leo is a benefic sign. And Jupiter owned signs, Sagittarius and Pisces are naturally benefic signs. And Capricorn and Aquarius owned by Saturn are malefic signs. So if Saturn is in one of the malefic signs, he will show Durga or Kali, or any other forms like Chinnamasta, Dhumavati, all these forms. He shows the tamasic forms. Paparkshepi chano shukre tada vikshudra sevakah amachakara gasasthe tyevam phalam vade. Paparkshepi chano shukre tada vikshudra sevakah. If Saturn or Venus also he is saying, if Venus or Saturn are in Paparkshe, means a malefic ruksha can be interpreted as either sign or a house. And my take is, because he just said Paparasho earlier, this ruksha is probably referring to a house rather than a sign. So if the planet in question is in a malefic sign from Lagna, we are talking about the 12th house from Atmakaraka. So it's a 6th house from Atmakaraka, from Karakamsha. But from Lagna, it may be a 6th house, or it may be 9th house, it may be any house. So if you see from Lagna, if it happens to be a malefic house, like the 6th house or 8th house or 12th house, in that case, and if it is Saturn or Venus, then also it will be either Durga or Kali or a Devata of that nature. And finally he is saying, Amatyakar Kasasthe Evam Phalam Vade. Instead of the 12th house from Karakamsha, from the Atmakaraka, you can also take the 6th house from Amatyakaraka to give the same results. Just to refresh, I mentioned what this means earlier also when we were talking about Amatyakaraka. In each chart, there are different significators. There are natural significators like Jupiter showing child, Venus showing wife, spouse, Mars showing younger sibling and so on, Moon showing mother, Sun showing father. These are the natural significators who are fixed always. And apart from that, there are variable significators who change from chart to chart. Depending on the exact longitudes of the planet, one planet becomes Atmakaraka, means soul, self, the significator of self. Another planet becomes significator of Amatya means counsel, the significator of counsel. Like that, there are variable significators, and what they stand for is they show things at the soul level, at the level of your awareness of who you are, your inner awareness of who you are. So Atmakarka is basically your inner awareness of this is me, your definition of an intelligent person, a smart person, an engineer, or a religious person, a good person, a bad person, all these concepts. A person who has to live in this body for 80 years and do this, like that. Your soul has a sense. Somebody who needs to do so and so thing, somebody who needs to teach astrology, somebody who needs to construct a temple, like that. Your soul has some sense of who it is. Depending on all the things that it has done in the previous life, it may look at itself as somebody who is knowledgeable, it may look at itself as somebody who needs to be happy. It has various notions of what it needs to pursue. So that sense of who it is and what it needs to pursue is encapsulated in Atmakaraka. And the second important Karaka is Amatya Karaka. So that Karaka is basically it is your sense of purpose, it is your sense of mission in life, why you came to earth, what is it that you need to do. It may be, in the case of Vivekananda, it may be coming to West and teaching Advaita, teaching the philosophy, Indian philosophy in the entire world. If it is somebody like Paramhamsa Yogananda, it may be to come to the West and teach Kriya Yoga, the breathing exercise, the yoga based on the breathing. Similarly, depending on who you are, the mission in life may be different. For somebody else, the mission in life may be building a temple. For somebody else, the mission in life may be to help children, to get more children into schools in a third world country. Like that, depending on who you are, your sense of, this is what I need to do in life. This is my purpose. This is what I came for. So that is shown by Amatya Karaka. And Amatya literally means minister, the counselor or the minister. And Atmakaraka is said to be like the king. If a nativity is like a kingdom, Atmakaraka is the king, not even ascendant. The Atmakaraka is the king. He is the main guy. And Amatyakaraka is like the minister. The meaning is your sense of who you are is the king. It dominates your entire existence. What you do, how you deal with people, it is all governed by your sense of who you are. So your inner sense of who you are is the king, Atmakaraka. And the sense of purpose in life, that is like the minister who's giving advice to the king on what to do. So Amatyakaraka is basically the sense of purpose in life, that is the minister. So the 12th from Atmakaraka is important because your sense of this is me, you have to let it go in order to reach God. So the 12th house of letting go from the Atmakaraka is important for getting moksha. Whereas when it comes to your sense of this is the purpose I need to do, it is not something you let go, it is something you fulfill. It is something for which you fight. So the 6th house of fighting, the 6th house of enemies and obstacles and overcoming obstacles is important from the Amatyakaraka. So the 6th from Amatyakaraka will show how you fight to fulfill your mission in life, to fulfill the purpose of your life. So until you do that, you won't get moksha. So that is actually more important than striving for moksha. So the 6th from Amatyakaraka, if it is strong, don't even look at 12th from Atmakaraka. Look at 6th from Amatyakaraka and say, worship this planet. So if you worship that planet, the situations conducive to fulfilling your purpose, your mission, working on your mission will be created. Then you will work on your mission will be successful, and then you can think of the 12th from Atmakaraka, which is letting your ego merge in the God, merge in the Supreme Cosmic Being. So 6th from Amatyakaraka and the 12th from Atmakaraka are both important, but in my opinion, the one that Parasara says at the end, that is even more important, because if that is blocked, if your mission is not fulfilled, you can't really let your ego go. A king cannot basically retire. Minister will come and say, no, we have to get this done, king, you can't retire. So king will be basically stuck. So even though he is the king, minister has to be satisfied that the whatever needs to be done has been done. Okay?
So that's in D9.
For me?
It's in D9.
The sense of purpose in life, it is from D9 as well as D10. The work that you do in the world, not just your professional work, but all the accomplishments that you have in the world are from D10. 10th house is the house of work. So D10 is the chart. So this is more important in D10 and also to some extent in D9. So we have taken too long today. So we have another half hour to look at a chart. If you guys have, unfortunately, we don't have the projector today, so we'll have to share the computers.
I have a chart.
Actually, I think they need the power. This one or this?
Yeah, this one.
Restart the recording. I restarted the recording, so give me the data.
April 16,
April 16,
1960.
1916,
No, 1960.
1960, sorry, okay.
3:55 p.m.
3:55 p.m. Yeah?
Vijayawada, India.
Male or female?
Male.
Male. Vijayawada, India.
So I already put the data here again. That's why.
Okay. How should I save the chart?
Ishwar.
Ishwar. How do you spell it?
ESHWAR.
Ishwar.
Yeah, I don't know that person,
Okay.
but
Okay. So I'll just repeat for those who are listening to the audio later. The data is 1960 April 16, 3:55 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT. The place is Vijayawada, India, and the longitude is 80 degrees 37 minutes east, and the latitude is 16 degrees 31 minutes north. Okay. So you should get ascendant at 28 degrees 25 minutes Leo, and you should get moon at 5 degrees 8 minutes Sagittarius. Okay, so what are we interested in? What do we know about the person, and what is the question?
This person, he started a business.
Yeah.
And business
Started a business, okay?
10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay?
And the business wasn't lift off the ground at all. But just
Okay.
started-
Struggling.
Yeah, struggling.
Okay. Struggling ever since.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's into a lot of debts right now.
Debt, okay.
Badly debt. And what is the recovery? And he has what is the...
Is there any relief on the horizon? And what can you do to get relief? Okay.
He's a mechanical engineer.
Yeah. Now the thing is to verify that the data is accurate.
Right.
See, like I told you, we have the divisional chart. Each sign is divided into 10 parts or 20 parts, like that, right? So the ascendant takes approximately 2 hours to go through one sign. So if people born in a period of 2 hours, they may share the same ascendant. Ascendant will be in the same sign. But the thing is, if you divide the sign into 10 parts, it will stay in each sign only for 12 minutes. So every 12 minutes is changing sign. And within the 12 minutes is changing the longitude within the sign. So it becomes more sensitive to errors in the birth time. So depending on whether the sign is accurate or not, the time given is 3:55, but it could be 3:57. People round it down to the nearest 5 minutes. And also, what is the exact definition of birth is controversial. So whether they use the right definition or not, you never know. So there may be a few minutes, up to 5 minutes of error in the birth time, and that may change the sign in one of the divisional charts that we want to see. So what we normally do is we look at some events in the life that we already know, and we see if it makes sense, things add up or not. If they don't, we try to change it a little bit and see if it makes better sense. And once you, bottom line is your readings are as good as if the time is accurate, your readings are good. Otherwise, then they're not good. So your readings are only as good as the time is. So we need some details. So he's giving me some details. So mechanical engineers, right?
Right.
Okay. Did he ever work or did he directly start business?
Started business after the
Okay.
college.
Business right away.
Right.
Okay.
I don't have the data whether he worked or not.
But mostly he was into business.
He started business.
Okay. Even if he worked, it was for a short duration.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Do you know anything else about the
All I know
person?
is he has 2 children.
2 children. Yeah. Anything. Do you know when he got married? You don't know.
Don't have that.
Okay. That would have been useful. Now,
First one is a boy, second one is a girl.
that can be useful. Boy and girl. And you don't know when they were born approximately.
No, I That data hasn't come.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we'll deal with what we have.
I
So,
have the wife's chart, but that doesn't help.
yeah, we don't really care. That doesn't really add much value. Okay. Now the Lagna is at 28.5 degrees, 28 degrees, 25 minutes in. So that's basically in the last Dasamsa, the last 3 degrees of the sign. And it's in the middle of the last 3 degrees, luckily. So it's not on a border. Suppose it was at 27 degrees, 5 minutes. It would be on the border. It could be either 24 to 27 or 27 to 30. Here it is at 28.5. It is exactly in the middle of 27 to 30 portion. So the Dasamsa, we are interested in the D10, the 10th divisional chart for career. So we will probably have a leeway of 5 minutes. So if you look at D10, if you guys can open D10
Yeah, I did.
and look at the leeway that you have, when will Lagna change sign in D10? It will change 5 minutes 55 seconds earlier or 6 minutes 30 seconds later. So as long as birth time is not off by more than 5 minutes 55 seconds, the D10 Lagna is accurate. So we'll assume that this is accurate. We don't have to modify it. So it's not on a border, so that's the good news. Now let's see D24. The chart of education is D24. So let's open D24 and let's see if you said he did bachelor's in mechanical engineering, right?
Correct.
So if the bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering makes any sense at all, let us see that. Okay. What do you see? How do you see the bachelor's education? Where do you see the bachelor's education from? The general education at a young age, general expansion of knowledge is from the 4th house. And the bachelor's education is from the 9th house. And the master's education is from the 2nd house. So you go to D24 and look at the 12th house. 9th house. So what do you see? What are the influences on it? Tell me. What are the influences on the 9th house in D24? What is the rising sign in D24 chart? Gemini. Gemini is rising. So the 9th house is Aquarius. And who are the lords? For me? Yeah? Rahu and Saturn. Aquarius is ruled by Rahu and Saturn. Now, what are the influences on that? Is anybody aspecting that? Is anybody having a strong aspect on the 9th house? You open the aspects, you see that nobody really has a strong aspect. Right? Nobody has more than 3/4 aspect on the 9th house. So the bachelor's education can be given by Saturn and Jupiter, Saturn and Rahu who own it, or is there any influence on Saturn? Saturn is weak, by the way. Do you see that Saturn is debilitated?
Yep.
So Saturn is debilitated, he is weak. So let's see, is there any influence on the 9th lord instead of on the 9th house? So if you see influences on Saturn, where is Saturn? Where is Saturn? He is in A. So he is in a sign owned by Mars. Moreover, he is aspected by Mars. So Saturn is in a sign owned by Mars and aspected by Mars. Moreover, you can look at the Arudhapada, the A9. Instead of 9th house, you can look at the Arudhapada of the 9th house. So A9 is in Sagittarius. So to see the bachelor's education, you get to look at 9th house, 9th lord and A9. Where is A9?
It's in Capricorn.
No, it's in Sagittarius.
Oh, this is.
So A9 is in Sagittarius, right? Are there any influences on? Are there any influences on A9? No, actually you are right. I changed the options were wrong. I changed the options. So A9 is also in a Saturnine sign. So Saturn owns the 9th house as well as A9. So Saturn is the most important planet. And he is in a Martian sign and Mars is aspecting Saturn. Moreover, do you see that A9 is aspected by Mars?
90%.
Yeah, A9 has an aspect of 90% from Mars, the 4th aspect. Mars is in Libra, A9 is in Capricorn, so they have 90% aspect on A9. So Mars is having a strong influence on A9 as well as on Lord of A9 as well as on 9th house. So So the strongest influence on the ninth house is that of Mars. So by the A9, for those who don't know, is basically an abstract concept. From the ninth house, you do some mathematics and you find an entity called A9. It's just a point in the zodiac and it's defined based on the ninth house. And it has to do with the tangible manifestation of the ninth house. The Sanskrit words are, the Sanskrit word for house is bhava, and the Sanskrit word for this concept that I am mentioning, an abstract concept, is pada. Pada, bhava and pada are the words. And in Sanskrit, words have different meanings. And the thing is, people hide sophisticated knowledge in the double and triple meanings of the words. The word bhava means meaning, and the word pada means word. So the actual words used for these astrological concepts in Sanskrit are meaning and word. So if you understand what meaning and word are, meaning is intangible. The meanings of the words, when I say a word, what exactly it means? It's in your mind. Some thought is being created in your mind. When I utter a word, it apparently means something to you based on all the baggage that you are carrying, based on all the conditioning of your mind. A particular image is evoked in your mind. So the meaning is in your mind. Of course, when I say the word, there is a meaning in my mind too. I am trying to express something. So what I am trying to express is a concept in my mind. It is intangible. Similarly, what you are trying to understand, what you are understanding is a concept in your mind. Nobody can put their finger on it. It's intangible. So the word meaning, by using a word that also means meaning for an astrological concept such as house, what the rishis have taught is houses show intangible things. Whereas when you do this math on the houses and get a particular point, an abstract point, the word used for it is pada, which means word. Words are tangible. So when I use a word, I use a word, these are tangible. You can hear them, they register in everybody's mind. But the thing is, what they mean can be different. Similarly, let's say fourth house, right? Fourth house shows, one of the things it shows is happiness, luxuries that the person has. The vehicle that somebody has is seen from the fourth house. But the thing is, are you happy from the vehicle or not? Do you have a luxury vehicle? Do you feel luxury from it or not? That is intangible. Whereas, do you have a BMW? Or do you have a Harley Davidson? Do you have a Hyundai? That is tangible to the world. World sees it. So, all these A things, A1, A2, A3, A4, these are the Arudha Padas. These are the Padas, Arudha Padas corresponding to different houses. They show the tangibles. So, for the fourth house, the intangible is happiness. The tangible is things, the TV that you have, the car that you have, etc. The tangibles. Similarly, let's say communication skills. My communication skills, are they tangible? Not really. They are intangible. But the exact speech that I gave, the lecture that I gave at a particular conference, the conference proceedings, or a book that I have written, these are tangible. World can get the book. World can get a recording of my lecture. So these are all shown by the Arudha Padas, by the tangible one. Whereas my actual communication skills are intangible. So like this, for every house, it shows tens of matters. And if you look at all the matters, some are intangible, some are tangible. To see the tangible ones, we see the A of a house. To see the intangible ones, we see the house itself. So when you're talking about the bachelor's education of a person, part of it is intangible. He's getting some education. When he goes to school, he's learning something. So that learning is tangible. But he's also getting a degree, a mechanical engineer. There's a stamp now. He's a mechanical engineer. He's an electrical engineer. He's a lawyer. So that is seen from the A9. So 9,000 A9, you have to mix both and see what is common factor to see what he does bachelor's education in. So anyway, coming back here, it can either be given by Saturn or because Saturn is weak in a sign of Mars and aspected by Mars. And moreover, Mars is directly affecting A9. So because of that, Mars can actually give the education. So his bachelor's education, Mars, one of the things that he shows is engineering. So he can go into engineering because of the Martian influence. And because the other influence is not that of Rahu or Ketu on Mars, it's Saturn, it is more having to do with civil engineering or mechanical engineering. It is basically, it is not electrical or electronics engineering. It is more structural kind of engineering. So because of the Saturn Mars influence, he is a mechanical engineer. So there is a good chance that this time is actually reasonable, accurate. So the leeway that we have in D24, had the time been backwards by 3 minutes 51 seconds, the ascendant would have changed from Gemini to Taurus. Had it been 1 minute 19 seconds later, it will change to Cancer. So we can be reasonably confident that It's not off by more than 3 minutes backwards or 1.25 minutes forward. So we are in the ballpark, maybe half minute plus or minus or maybe minute plus or minus. We are in the ballpark. Somebody did a decent job. Whereas in some cases you have to change by 5 minutes to explain what you know. So let's accept this time and let's go to the D10. Oops, let's go to the D10. Now, the person is a businessman. Does it make any sense? Does it make any sense?
It's a planet in the 7th house. Right?
Yeah? Okay. One second. What do we see? Where do we see the business and where do we see serving somebody else, working for somebody else? 6th and 7th houses, right? The 6th house shows serving somebody else. And the basic career is seen from 2nd, 6th and 10th houses. Those are the 4 Artha Trikonas. Those are the 3 Artha Trikonas. And the 3, 7 and 11 are the Kama Trikonas of desire. The 1, 5, 9 are Dharma Trikonas, righteousness, sense of duty. 2, 6 and 10 are overcoming obstacles and getting money. And 3, 7 and 11, they are desire, having a strong desire. And of course 4, 8 and 12 are Moksha Trikonas, the of giving up, of letting go. The same Pusharthas that I mentioned earlier. So here, you have to, when you see the Samsa, the chart, the D10, the chart of career, you look at the 6th and 7th, they are the main controlling houses for business and working. If the 6th is strong, the person is more inclined towards working for somebody else. And he is a servant of somebody else. If the 7th house is strong, the desire is strong, he wants to do something, he can't work for somebody else, he needs to call the shots. So a strong desire means, and also 7th house is the house of interacting with people, of dealing with other people. So such a person is more suitable for having his own business. So people with a strong 7th house will tend to be in business. Similarly, 3rd house is the house of initiative, drive, the fire within. And 11th house is the house of gains and profits. So these 3, 7 and 11, they are mutual trines from each other. They support each other. So if there is a link between these, or one of them is really strong, particularly 7th, then you can say that the person will be into business. And how is the 6th lord here? 6th lord Venus, 6th house, the rising sign is Taurus. The 6th house is Libra. The lord is Venus. And he is in Aries. He is in the 12th house. So, the lord of the 6th house is not well placed. He is in the 12th house of loss or compromise or giving up or expenditure. And moreover, is he well placed? No, he is in Martian sign. Is Mars a friend of Venus? Not really. They don't really like each other. They are actually like enemies. So he is in an inimical sign. So Venus is in a sign of an enemy and he is not well placed. So house of service is not that well placed. Now how about the house of business? Scorpio. It has 2 lords. In Hindu astrology, Vedic astrology, there are 2 signs that are owned by 2 planets, Aquarius and Scorpio. Aquarius is owned along with Saturn, Rahu also shares it. Similarly, Scorpio, along with Saturn, Ketu also shares it. Ketu is the south node and Rahu is the north node. So, Ketu is in that sign, he is in own sign. Scorpio, the 7th house, contains Ketu, the lord of that house. Whenever a planet is in own house, that house becomes strong. Right? So, it is strong already. In addition, who is the 2nd lord of Scorpio? Mars. Where is he? In the 3rd house. So Mars is in the 3rd house of drive and fight, do something, initiative, braveness, boldness, bravery. So for that reason, the 7th house and 3rd house have been connected. And moreover, Jupiter, the 11th lord Jupiter is in the 11th house, he is aspecting Mars by a trinal aspect, by the 5th aspect. So Jupiter, so 7th lord is in the 3rd house and the 11th lord is affecting him. So all the 3 Kama Trikonas, the trines of desire are connected, 3, 7 and 11. So because they are connected, the person has a strong desire of profits, interacting with people. Moreover, who is the Karaka for service? Saturn. And who is the Karaka for business? Mars. The significator of business is Mars. And the significator of serving somebody else is Saturn. So, the 7th house is associated with Mars. So, because of all these factors, there is a very strong, this is actually a no-brainer. I explained it in such detail, but if you see this chart, There's no ambiguity at all. This is assuming the ascendant is correct. The rising sign of Taurus is accurate. You know for a fact that this person is more inclined in business. But the thing is, now, is he going to be successful? How do you see success from? I mean, for a chart to be successful, the Lagna has, the rising sign, the ascendant has to be strong. Ascendant is the foundation of the chart. The first house is the very sense of being. It is your very being. And how is the first house here? The Lagna here?
Lagna Lord is 12th house.
Lagna Lord is in 12th house, so what does it mean? If Lagna Lord is in 12th house, it shows you have to make some compromises. Right? Now, Lagna Lord is weak, and Sun is the planet of recognition, success, etc. And Sun, how is Sun? Is Sun strong in this chart?
4th Lord.
Yeah. He is affected by Rahu. Right? In Taurus, you see Sun and Rahu. So Sun is eclipsed by Rahu.
This is ascendant. First house.
And what the is running right now? So first of all, one weakness is Lagna is affected by Sun and Rahu. Second thing is Lagna Lord Venus is actually in the 12th house. The third thing is, what is the dasha running right now?
Rahu.
First of all, what dasha should we use? Is Lagna in Vargotama? No. Is the Lagna Lord in 7th house or 7th Lord in Lagna? No. So none of the conditions are applying, so you don't use the conditional dasha. So you just use the Vimshvatri dasha. And again, just a word on dasha. Dasha is dividing the life into periods, sub-periods, sub-sub-periods, etc., which are governed by one planet. These 10 years in your life are governed by Mars. These 18 years are by Rahu, like that. You divide the life into different periods. Each period you divide further into sub-periods. Within these 10 years, this 1 year is governed by Ketu. This 1 year is governed by Venus, like that. And there are some formulas for arriving at these calculations. And this is the hallmark of Vedic astrology. There are different dasha systems using which can time events, what's happening during a time. Even though Western astrology doesn't have these concepts, I understand that Greek astrology also had some similar concepts.
Rahu Dasha is running now.
Yeah? Okay. Oops. So what dasha is running right now?
Rahu.
Rahu dasha is running right now.
Rahu and
Okay.
the time is
Okay.
what is correct.
So when did he start business?
What I have the 10 years.
You said around 10 years back, right? So that must be around Mars dasha. Around the time of Mars dasha, he started business. And that makes sense because Mars is the 7th Lord, as we said. Mars and Ketu are the planets who will show getting into business, starting
Also,
business.
it's a third house. Mars is in third house.
Mars is in 3rd house of initiative, starting something. So because of this reason, starting business in Mars dasha makes sense. And now he is running Rahu dasha. Does Rahu dasha show success in business? How is Rahu placed? Is he a good planet or a bad planet in this chart? Tell me. He is the 10th Lord in the 12th house. Even though it seems like he is in Lagna, he is an ascendant. Ascendant is at 14 degrees Taurus and Rahu is at 9 degrees, I think. Yeah, he is at 9 degrees Taurus. So he is below the Lagna longitude. The first house is from 14 degrees Taurus to 14 degrees Gemini. So Rahu is actually the North Node is actually in the 12th house. So the 10th Lord of career, of accomplishments, is in the 12th house of compromise, sacrifice, losses, expenses, etc. Is it conducive to success? Not really. It's not really a great period. Right? It's not really such a great period. For me? He's placed in the 12th from what? Okay, where is A7? Tell me, one second. Let me look at it.
This is Lagna.
Yeah?
A7 is in Lagna, right?
A7
6 star.
Is it-
A7.
Okay, A7. See, 7th, like I said, 7th house is the house of business. But the thing is, to see an actual business venture, that the owner knows, okay, he is the owner of so-and-so company, or he is a partner in so-and-so company. When people look at that so-and-so company, and his success or failure as a part of so-and-so company, it is a highly tangible thing. You are not talking about he trying to think of a business deal and doing something about it. All that is intangible. It's in his mind. But actual business that he is having and the fate of that is a tangible thing. So to see tangibles, you look at the A, the Arudha Pada of the house. So A7 you have to look at. And where is A7? It is?
6 degrees Taurus.
It is actually in 6 degrees Taurus.
12th house from.
Pardon me?
It is the 12th house. From
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Right, exactly. So A7, which shows the business, the tangible business of the person, is in the 12th house from Lagna. So the thing is, even though the person in his mind wants to do business and he is driven and all that, the actual tangible business A7 is in the 12th house from Lagna. So forget the dashas. In general, this is a chart where the person may not be able to make much success in business. Because A7 is in the 12th house of loss. It's not well placed on the ascendant. If it is well placed in the ascendant, like in the 9th house of fortune or something like that, then there is a chance of success. But if it is in the 12th house, what can you say to promote success? What can be done? What is the remedy? Well, 12th house shows foreign things away from where you are. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be loss or compromise. It can also be foreign things. So, if the business, if he goes to a faraway country and does business, he can have success. Of course, it may or may not be realistic in this case now. Other possibility is doing business with a faraway country. So, if he does business with some country, is he in India now?
Yeah.
Okay. Does business with, let's say, Sri Lanka or US or UK or Australia, there is a better chance of success. So that is one thing that can be suggested. See if he can expand his business or somehow get into something that he can do involving either importing something or exporting something. There is a better chance of success in that area. Okay? What, you know what kind of business he does?
It is a power, something to do with the power, electric power systems.
Ah, okay. Okay. Now, is that a good business for him? Electric parts? Do you think he is in that business? You have to see, when you are talking about business in electrical parts, is it tangible or intangible?
No, it's power systems.
Power systems. When you say power system related business, are you talking about an intangible or tangible? Tangible. You are not saying he's doing something smart or something, all those are intangibles. But when you say specifically power systems, it's tangible. So you should see from not 7th but from A7. And where is A7? It is in Taurus and the longitude is 6 degrees 6 minutes Taurus. And who is close to it? Where is Sun?
Rahu is in.
Sun is actually in the 12th house from it, so forget Sun. Sun won't give success. But Rahu is,
In Lagna.
he is at 9 degrees 60 minutes Taurus. He is actually within 3 degrees from that. So he is in the first house from A7. So, pardon me? Yeah, you can look at all divisional longitudes, then you can see everything in one place. So, Rahu is actually influencing A7, so the business that he does may be relating to Rahu. What kind of things Rahu show? So many things, but one of the possibilities is definitely big machinery. Ketu shows very small machines, computers, etc. and Rahu shows big machines. So, whatever business he is doing, I was asking this, I was approaching this from the point of view of that, I was suspecting maybe he is doing a wrong business. But the thing is, given that Rahu is in A7, this is probably the right business for him. It's not that he is in a bad business. He has chosen the right field. This is a good field for him. But the problem is, because A7 is in the 12th house from Lagna, because Lagna Lord himself is in the 12th house from Lagna, because of those reasons, he is not able to have much success.
Lagna Lord is in 11th house from Lagna.
Oh, Lagna Lord is in the 11th house. Okay, that's good then. Now, how is the current dasha running, Rahu dasha? Is it a good dasha or bad dasha?
It should be good then, sir, because he is the 10th lord.
Yeah.
But he's in Gulf.
He is the 10th lord. Is he a functional benefic or malefic? Tell me. He is a neutral planet. 10th lord is a neutral planet. He is functionally a neutral planet. So a functionally neutral planet, that is thing, and he is in the 12th house of losses. So is it a good dasha or bad dasha overall?
It's not a good dasha.
It is not a good dasha, but is it a terrible dasha?
Not really.
It's not really a terrible dasha as well. Because he is not like he's a neutral planet. He is not a malefic planet for her.
And he's Rahu.
Moreover, he is in A7. So as far as business is concerned, he is actually in that house. But the thing is, had he been, pardon me?
But we're looking at the Mahadasha, right?
Yeah, his Mahadasha is running. Right.
Or we should look at the Antardasha.
We will. But I'm saying, is there potential for success in this dasha? That is basically what I'm trying to see now. Okay? So,
Also shows the people you are
Yeah.
Rahu can also show foreign people.
Yes. So if Rahu is in A7, the kind of people that you interact with, you can interact with foreigners. So my feeling is, in order to overcome the problem of A7 in the 12th house from Lagna, he should have either involve some foreigners in his business or get some foreign angle to his business if it's not already there. Anyway, let's continue the discussion. So Rahu, even though he's in the 12th house from Lagna, showing loss. So what is Lagna? His sense of self. Rahu is basically his very self. So from that point of view, Rahu is in the 12th house of loss and compromise. But from A7 point of view, he's actually in the first house. So what does first house show? It shows starting something new, new beginnings. So in Rahu Dasha, there is a chance of forgetting what he's doing and expanding into something or changing into something else. A planet in the first house gives a new beginning. Cannot continue something that was being done. So if he hasn't already done it after 2007 September, it's a good idea for him to consider redefining his business. Rahu Dasha is a good period redefining his business and restructuring his business and maybe have a foreign connection. And what is the Antardasha running right now?
Jupiter.
See, previously the Antardasha was that of Rahu, but now the Antardasha of Jupiter has started. Is Jupiter's Antardasha a good Antardasha or what? Tell, what is your opinion? Jupiter Antardasha, good or bad?
Good.
Why? He is in the 10th house, right?
8th Lord and 11th Lord.
8th Lord and 11th Lord.
Sudden gain.
8th is the house of suddenness. It can show setbacks also, but either sudden up or sudden down, sudden change. And 11th is the house of gains. So that planet is in the 8th house. So he can give sudden changes, and also 11th house is fulfillment of desires. And it is gains. So there can be some profits after all. So Jupiter is actually not bad for him. And how is Jupiter from A7? If you look from A7, right, from the Arudapada, because you want to see how it is for the business, not just for Lagna, because somebody may be prospering in business. He may be making a lot of money. Business may be flourishing. People may say, oh, that guy, his Microsoft corporation is doing so well. But the guy inside, he may be on account of his professional life, not even personal life, just on account of professional life. The guy may be so tense. Oh my God, will the next version of Windows be as successful or not? I have to get it right. Do I have everything I need in office, or maybe I should add something else? Am I forgetting this? So the guy may be struggling all the time. So the thing is, internally, if he is struggling, from the Lagna, from the ascendant, from the rising sign, the planet may be showing bad things. It may be showing struggle. But the thing is, if from A7 the planet is well placed, the business will be doing well. People will say, oh, his business, Microsoft, doing billions of business, like that. So from that point of view, Lagna is important to see how the person is doing. But we are talking about the business. So A7 is the most important thing. And from A7, we said that Rahu is in Lagna. See, the thing is, Rahu being in first house, is it good or bad? It's not that good. If a benefic is in an Aruda, he blesses it. If a malefic is there, he curses it. If a neutral planet is there, he somehow maintains it. So Rahu is a neutral planet here. So his being in A7 is not that good.
He's in his friend's house.
He's in friend's house, so it's not that bad. So my feeling is, his business will do okay. It will actually probably improve in the next few years. But look at Jupiter. How is Jupiter from A7? A7 is at 6th degree in Taurus, and Jupiter is at 13 degree, approximately 13 degrees in Pisces. So he is actually in the 11th house of gains.
12th Lord.
Pardon me? What 12th Lord?
With
What 12th Lord? What are you saying?
A7, I'm just looking at from A7 is 12th Lord, isn't it?
Why is it 12th Lord?
No.
He is 11th Lord.
Oh,
8th and 11th Lord.
Yeah.
Either from A7 or from Lagna. He is the 11th Lord of gains. Being placed in the house. He is well placed in own sign. Always planets in own sign and exaltation sign will give good results. So Jupiter Antardasha, the sub-period of Jupiter, is a good sub-period. When did it start?
May 13th.
On May 13. And it will go on for a couple of years. Till 2012 October. So actually, these 2 years are relatively better. But the thing is, just because sub-period is very good, if the whole major period is average, things will not be super. So, but the thing is, it will be locally, compared to the previous period, this will be better.
And Rahu and Jupiter are not good friends
That is the other factor. See, the thing is, the sub-period Lord Jupiter and the main period Lord Rahu, they are enemy. So it's not, even though Jupiter wants to give good, Rahu may say, oh, no, I don't want you to give. And then it's like you care about the project you are doing, but the boss who is controlling, he doesn't. Or let's say a department head wants to do good to the department, but the CEO of the company doesn't care about the department. Then the department won't do well. Similarly, the major period Lord is like the CEO, and the sub period Lord is like the department head. So the thing is, we don't want to raise his hopes and say, oh, suddenly you will become a millionaire. No. He will continue to struggle, but there is, I see definitely hope in the next 2 years. Next 2 years are likely to be better than the previous period, previous 2 or 3 years.
Quickly, how do you see that? Why did he get into a lot of debt?
We'll see that. We'll get into that. But the thing is, apart from Dashamsha, you have to look at other charts for debt. The chart where you see the fortune of the person and the money of the person. Okay. Is there any propitiation? By the way, how will the Saturn period? Because after Jupiter in 2012, October, approximately for 3 years, there will be Saturn's period. How is Saturn for this guy? He is Yogakarka. He is the 9th lord of fortune and 10th lord of career. He is not well placed. Actually, is he not well placed? Is he in the 3rd or 4th house? He is in actually third house. So actually, yeah, he is in inimical sign. That's the bad thing. He is in an inimical sign, sun sign. That is the bad thing. But he is in 3rd house, which is a good house for Saturn to be in. And he is Yogakarka. He is the 9th and 10th lord. So he gives good, he is good. Moreover, he is a friend of Rahu. So it's like, now a sub-period, Rahu is saying, I don't want to give too much of good to this guy. This is okay. And then Saturn will come and say, Saturn is a friend. He will come and say, no, I want to give him some good stuff. Please cooperate. The thing is, when Jupiter goes and says, I want to give him some good, Rahu says, no cooperation to you, I hate you. But when Saturn goes, he says, okay, I like you, I'll cooperate with you. So the thing is, Saturn is likely to give better results than the Jupiter periods. So the bottom line is, next years we'll see some improvement, but it will be 2012 to 15 that will really see a major improvement in his profession, in his business. Now, let's see debt. Because we don't really see debt from the Samsa. We can find links to the D10 because debt has come because of his career, because of his business. But debt, you have to see from which chart. What chart do you see it in? What is the chart of money matters? D2. Yeah?
See D2.
Right? So you see D2, right? Let's go to D2. D2 is the chart of wealth. So we go to D2 chart. What is the rising sign? Tell me what is the rising sign? Is it Cancer? Yeah, it is Cancer. I'm also getting, yeah. So rising sign is Cancer. So rising sign is Cancer. And who is Rahu? What sign does he own? For me? 8th Lord. He is the 8th Lord. Is it good or bad? He is actually not in the 12th house. He is in the 11th house of gains. He is actually in the 11th house. But he is the 8th Lord. Is 8th Lord good or bad? 8th is the house of fall. And moreover, 8th particularly is the house of debts. Long debts. I mean, it's the house of chronic disease and also the house of, in this chart, of wealth. This is the house of long debt, chronic debt. So, 6th house is also borrowing. 6th and 8th are the house of borrowing. But 8th is the house of being in debt for a long time. Similarly, 6th house is the house of disease, but 8th is the house of chronic disease that doesn't leave you. So, being the 8th Lord, unfortunately, Rahu can give debt. So, there is no wonder that he got into debt during this period. How about Jupiter? Can Jupiter give improvement? Financially, how is Jupiter period financially? See, Lagna Lord Moon and Jupiter, the 9th Lord Jupiter, are together in the, they are in the 8th house. 8th house of sudden up or down. But the thing is that the Lagna Lord and the 9th Lord. 9th is the house of fortune and Lagna is the house of your very self. So when those two are together, it's a Raj Yoga. So it's a nice combination. So there is a Raj Yoga given by Jupiter in this chart. And he is the 9th Lord in the 9th house. So he can, there is some improvement possible in the financial position, the Jupiter period. So the bottom line is, our conclusion is, there is hope. In the next 2 years, there is hope. And is there any remedies that we can suggest? If he is interested in any prayers, are there any specific prayers that you can suggest for improving his situation? What is the best thing to do? Should he propitiate Jupiter or just propitiate Rahu? See, the Dasha Lord is Rahu. He is under strong Rahu influence right now. And Rahu is showing some bad things in the T2.
Durga.
Yeah, Rahu is the problem. So for Rahu, you can pray Durga. Or should you suggest something else? Let's go back to D10. Let's go back to D10. In the D10, Rahu is with Sun. Rahu shows fierce deities like Durga. And specifically, Rahu can show Durga. But he is with Sun. Is he close to Sun? Sun is at 1 degree Taurus, 1.5 degree Taurus, and Rahu is at 9 degrees plus. So they are reasonably close. Not too close, but Sun and Rahu are close. And when Sun and Rahu are close, it can show, Sun is a Shiva form. So when Sun and Rahu are close, it can show a fierce form of Sun also. But the thing is, my feeling is, because they are in a Venusian sign, Venus shows a female deity. So they being in a Venusian sign, my feeling is a female deity is better. So Durga is probably best. So if this guy, on every Friday, why Friday? Because they are in a Venus sign. So every Friday, if he can worship Durga, and what can he worship Durga with? Anything. Bottom line is, have devotion and try to say the mantra with as much focus as possible. Mantra is basically an instrument. The main thing is focus of the mind. When the focus of the mind is there, you get the result. And when the focus of the mind is not there, it doesn't really matter. So a simple mantra, if this person is not really comfortable with Sanskrit, a simple mantra like Om Dum Durgaya Namah is sufficient. Or if he can read Sanskrit, Durga Saptashloki, the 7 verses of Durga, that is a good idea. And if he is actually capable of doing it, even Durga Saptashati, the 700 verses of Durga, that is the best. If he is capable of doing it, capable of reading 700 verses every Friday, it will actually make a big difference to him. If he can dedicate 2 hours or 1.5 hours every day and read it. If it is not possible, do 7 verses. But the thing is, if he is doing 7 verses, do it for an hour. Don't just do it once. And the thing is, any problem you have in your chart is because of something you have done in the past. And small problem, small mistake you have done, the punishment is easier to overcome. Big mistake, more effort is needed. So if you want to pull a rock, pull it, it will go away. If there is a big boulder, you have to get a big machine. If it's a big hill, it's even more difficult. So depending on how serious the problem is, the remedy has to be as strong. So if he prays to Durga just 5 minutes, it won't do much. There's no point. So at least 1 hour every Friday, praying to Durga with some mantra. That will be, even if he says Om Dum Durga, put an arm and do for 1 hour. And in the beginning, mind will be wandering, but hopefully, slowly, he will get some focus. So praying to Durga, I strongly recommend. That will be very beneficial to him. Pardon me? You are looking at the Karakas? Yeah? Who is the Amachikarka? Sun. Are you sure?
No, it's Mars, right?
Mars. You are probably looking at divisional longitudes. Yeah. Yeah, Mars is the Amachikarka. Mars is the Amachikarka. So what can you say from it? What do you want to say from it? Mars is the Amachikarka. Yeah? So if you want to see the sense of mission, the sense of purpose of the person, the mission of the person, you see the 6th house from Mars in the D10. So what do you see? Mars, what are the longitudes? Mars is in D10 at 26 degrees Cancer. Right? Now, 26 degrees Sagittarius is the 6th house. What are the influences on it? What are the influences on the 26 degree Cancer? 26 degrees in Sagittarius.
Moon is in the 6th house.
Pardon me? Yeah?
And Mercury is also in the 6th house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, first house contains Moon and Mercury. Is there any other influence? Nothing really. So, the main influence is that of Moon and Mercury. Right? So what do Moon and Mercury show? What do Moon and Mercury show?
Krishna.
Huh?
Krishna. Who is Vishnu?
Right.
Who is Vishnu?
Right. So the thing is, he can worship Krishna. Mercury can show Vishnu, Moon specifically shows Krishna. So good idea is to worship Krishna. But the thing is, what does it do? Does it give success in career? No. What it does is, it gives him a clearer idea of his mission in life, what he came for. And it gives him resources to actually fulfill that. So any problems he is experiencing in fulfilling his mission, fulfilling his sense of purpose in life, those will be cleared. So the thing is, suddenly he may realize, why am I doing all this business? Actually what I need to do is construct a school. So that kind of things are possible. So the thing is, that may or may not be helpful, but directly what is helpful is, because Rahu Dasha is running and because Rahu is the 10th Lord, that worshipping Durga is a very good idea. Any other points you want to make on this chart? Any other interesting observations? Any other comments? How is the Dasha physically? How is Rahu physically? Rahu is at the beginning of Virgo and Lagna is at the end of Leo. So Rahu is in the first house. He is the 7th Lord. He is in the first house. Is it good for health? Yeah, it's a Marka. 7th Lord is a killer planet sitting in Lagna. So he won't give good health. So during this period, his health will be problematic. Pardon me? 7th Lord, Aquarius. 7th Lord is a killer.
Indeed, you're looking at
Rashi, no, physical matters are from Rashi. Okay, so he has to be a little careful about health. But again, if he worships Durga, it will take care of so many things: career, his physical health, etc. Okay, so convey that message to him. So with that, we will end the discussion on this chart.
Thank you.
ओम सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे धार्मिकजनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु यावत् भूमण्डले सनातन धर्मो वर्धतु विशेषतः भारतखण्डे ओम शांति शांति शांति
We are going to see a chart. So September 17, 1982, 10:41 a.m. Newsweed, India. Yeah, Newsweed, India. Nagalakshmi. Yeah, NUZVID. Okay, so we are seeing a chart. The data is September, very slow. September 17, 1982. September 17, 1982, 10:41 a.m. Newsweed, India, NUZVID, Newsweed, India, 80 degrees 51 minutes east, 16 degrees 47 minutes north. So Lagna should be 6 degree 36 minutes Scorpio and Moon should be 26 degree 39 minutes Leo. So the name is Nagalakshmi. Okay, so what are we seeing? What are we interested in? Married, one second. It's opening the notepad. It's very slow.
I
Yeah.
think
Something going on in the background.
yeah, we need to kill that maybe. Yeah,
This
we're
close.
searching for the network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can cancel.
Remind me later.
Yeah, cancel all of this. Probably the scan is. I didn't turn it
Let
on.
us scan.
This guy.
This one? Yeah.
You can disable it.
Disable or turn on silent mode. Disable.
Yeah. No, that's a firewall. It doesn't matter now.
This.
There's no scan going on, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Then it's
Okay, so we are all set. Okay, so married when?
May 18, 2006.
May 18, 2006, May 18 she was married. Okay,
She's not able to conceive.
unable to conceive. So they want to see what to do. Okay. Hmm?
Any remedies?
Any remedies? Okay. Okay, let us see. First, let us see if the time is reasonably accurate. Okay. Navamsa is on the border. It is on the border. 17 seconds later, time will change. Navamsa Lagna will change, right? And let's see Saptamsa. How much leeway do we have? Because if we have enough leeway, we have enough leeway. 8 minutes 46 seconds later, 10 minutes 17 seconds earlier. So Navamsa Lagna is accurate. So at least the sign. Sorry, Saptamsa Lagna is accurate. So we can actually proceed to give a reading. If we just care about the sign of the Lagna, not the exact longitude, we can basically proceed to give a reading. But let us, because we need the longitude also, because it may affect the houses, let us look at the data that we have, D9 and the marriage. So if you go to D9, first of all, what dasha should we use? Lagna is not in Vargottama, 7th Lord is not in Lagna, Lagna Lord is not in the 7th house, 10th Lord is not in the 10th house, or maybe 10th Lord is in the 10th house. Actually, 10th Lord Sun from Lagna is in the 10th house. So maybe Chaturisi Samadhisha can be applied. 10th Lord in the 10th house. So either that or Vimshottari Dasha. So first let's try Vimshottari Dasha itself. That will anyway apply. And then let's see if Chaturisi Samadhisha seems to be applying. Okay, then we'll just stick to Vimshottari instead of trying something else. So when did she get married? You said 2006. So Rahu Dasha came in 2005 September. Within a year she got married. In the next 6 months she got married. Rahu gave the marriage, right? Rahu, Jupiter. Rahu, Jupiter. So why Rahu Dasha, Rahu Antardasha gave marriage? So if you look at the Navamsa chart, Rahu is the 7th Lord, right? He is actually in the 7th house also. So 7th Lord in the 7th house. So that's a very good indication. He has a very good chance of giving marriage. He is not really in the 7th house, is he? Okay, why Jupiter Pratyantadasha gave marriage? Tell me. Why did Jupiter Pratyantadasha give marriage? Why did Jupiter Pratyantadasha give marriage? Does he have anything to do with marriage? Why did he give marriage? Yes, it can. Yeah. Okay. One more thing is, he is a 7th Lord from Venus. Venus Lagna has 2 planets, Venus, Saturn and Ketu there. So Venus Lagna and Venus is debilitated. So this Venus Lagna is strong compared to the normal Lagna. So if you take Venus as a reference, from there Jupiter is the 7th Lord, right? So for that reason also Jupiter can give marriage. So anyway, so Rahu, Jupiter gave the marriage. Now let's see Tithi Pravesha. What it proves is the time is not off by more than 17 seconds later. It can still be back. Now let us see the 2005 annual chart. So October 3, 2005 at 7:35 a.m. That is the Tithi Pravesh chart, right? So in that chart, who is the Hora Lord? Jupiter is the ruler of the year. Okay. And which Dasha gave the marriage? What was the date? May 26th? May 28th? 18th. Oh, I mistyped. Okay, May 18th. 2006, May 18th, he got married. So Mercury Dasha. Mercury basically. Mercury gave the marriage. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Mercury giving marriage, does it make sense? Do you have to change the Lagna or is it sufficient? What do you think? Pardon me? He is the UL Lord in Navamsa. You are looking at Navamsa, right? UL is in the middle of Virgo, so he is the Lord of UL. Okay? He is the Lord of UL, he is exalted. That is one thing. And he is in the 7th house. In the Navamsa, he is in the 7th house. Even though it looks like he is in the 8th house, he is actually at 5 degrees, Lagna is at 24 degrees. So he is actually in the 7th house. So Mercury is exalted in the 7th house, in the Navamsa. And he is the Upada Lord, he is exalted. So he does have the ability to give marriage. Is there any other point you want to make? Any other point? And from Venus, he is the 3rd Lord. Right? Venus is the 3rd Lord perfectly in the 3rd house. Venus is at 5 Cancer 31, Mercury is at 5 Virgo 16 in Navamsa.
He's in the 2nd house.
Yeah, he's in the 2nd house, right?
But
He is on the cusp of close to the cusp of the 3rd house, and he is the 3rd Lord, exalted 3rd Lord. And 3rd again is the Kama Trikona. Is the trine to the 7th house, and he is aspecting the 9th house. He has a very perfect aspect on the 9th from Venus. So basically, right, right. With Capricorn, okay, let's try that. So how much do you have to change the time by? You have to change by like 12 minutes or something. So that's first of all unrealistic. Hypothetically let's do it. Let's make it 10:29. Okay. Then and let's make the Tithi Pravesh chart again. Now, if you see now, is it still Mercury Dasha? Because Dashas can change. Let us check. It is still Mercury Dasha. Now, Mercury is the 9th Lord, but he is in the 8th house. For him to actually come to 8th house, see, Mercury is at 5 degree Virgo. Lagna is at the end of Capricorn. Because we moved it from Aquarius back to Capricorn. So, for Mercury to be actually in the 9th house, Lagna has to be below 5 degrees in Capricorn. So, that is almost another 11 minutes you have to add. On top of the 12 minutes we already added. So, it is like 25 minutes of error. So, it's unlikely. Moreover, now UL has changed. So, he is in the 12th house from UL. And if you move further, UL will change even further. So, bottom line is, we are fine with the original time. So, let's take 10, what was it, 41? 10:41. Let's save it again. Let's go back to the Tithi Pravesh chart. Okay. So, even though, see, this is the thing, we are used to seeing just the signs and say, oh, Mercury is in the 8th house. We are uncomfortable with it. But he is actually in the 7th house and he is exalted. He is in one sign, he is exalted, he is in the 7th house. So, he is perfectly fine as far as marriage is concerned. And like we said earlier, he is UL Lord and he is exalted. So, he does have the capability to give marriage. Okay. Now, anything else we want to do? Any other events we know? Just this marriage? Education, what do you know? BSc in CS, when? June 2004, she did BSc in computer science. Yeah, one second. MS in, again, computer science, okay? MS in computer science when? April 2006. Okay. So let us see these things. This will be actually useful. So go to D24 and see the dashas. So 2004 she did BS in computer science. So 2004 June she finished. So that was which dasya was it? Let's go back to the natal chart. Let's go to Vimshatri dasya. Mars dasya. Mars dasya, 2004 June meaning Venus. So Mars Venus, her bachelor's degree was obtained in computer science, right? And then in the Rahu dasya, Rahu, she got masters. Rahu masters, Mars Venus bachelor's. Does it make any sense? Let us see. Let us go back to longitudes. We want D24 longitudes. Lagna is at 8 degrees Sagittarius. And if you see Mars, she gave bachelor's education, right?
Yes.
Does it make sense? And how much leeway do we have? 1.5 minutes earlier, Lagna will change. What? In
that
D24.
cannot be possible because you have rectified D9.
No? We rectified forward. Forward 17 seconds or something we had leeway. Backward we haven't rectified. So it may be off by even 5 minutes backwards. We don't know. Right? Based both on the Tripraved chart as well as natal chart, we don't know backward error. So it is conceivably, it could be Scorpio, it could even be Libra. Now, why she did that? Why was the bachelor's education in computer science? Why was the bachelor's education in computer science? He did bachelor's education in computer science. Does it make sense to you? Does it make any sense? Forget that it happened in Mars period. And then she stopped the education in Mars Venus. Basically she got the degree. So education stopped in that period. Forget that fact. For me? So forget that fact. Forget the dasha. Why did she do computers? Why computers? Who gives me computer science? Buddha. Buddha in the second house will give masters in computer science. Why BSc in computer science? The bachelor's was in computer science. Why? Yeah. Actually, do you want to see the aspects? Go to planetary aspect evaluation. Look at the D24. Select both D24. Aspecting planets in D24, aspected planets in D24. So if you do this, who's aspecting the 9th Lord Sun? 9th Lord is Sun. So her point is, she is looking at the aspects on Sun to see who's aspecting 9th Lord. Mercury has only 38% aspect. So is it interesting?
Saturn has 100% aspect.
Pardon me?
Saturn has 100% aspect.
On Sun. Okay. Now, should you only look at the 9th Lord or can you look at the 9th house also?
9th house. 9th house has Jupiter, sir.
Yeah, is 9th house aspect, yeah, Jupiter is there in the 9th house, right? Actually, is he there? Jupiter's longitude is 751. Lagna is 824. So, assuming that this time is accurate, he is actually in the 8th house, not in the 9th house.
Yes,
Yes,
91%.
that's the thing.
91%.
With this time, Mercury on the 9th house from Lagna, he has 91% aspect. So, he has a very strong aspect. Second thing, where is A9? Where is A9? Mercury owns A9. Right? A9 is at, what is the longitude of A9? It is 11 degree Virgo. So, Mercury does have an aspect on A9. And in the 9th house, in the first house from A9, what are the influences? Rahu and Ketu are there. Rahu and Ketu, for me? Oh, you are looking at aspects on A9? Okay, I didn't see that.
63% from sir.
So Mercury actually has a good aspect also. He has a 64% aspect on A9. But that is on top of actually owning it. That is the most fundamental thing. He owns A9 and he has 64% aspect on A9. And on top of it, he has more than 90% aspect on 9th house. So there is a strong Mercury influence on the 9th house, both in terms of Arudha as well as actual house. Right? That is one thing. What is the other thing? Ketu and Rahu are in the A9. A9 is at 11 degrees something, and Rahu and Ketu are at 15 degrees something. So they are in the first house from A9. So there is a Rahu Ketu influence as well as very strong Mercury influence. So if you look at both 9th and A9, Mercury is clearly dominating. He is the key planet. So given that, doing bachelor's in computer science does make sense. Right? Now why did she stop in Mars Venus? Why did this end in Mars Venus? Well, the formal bachelor's education is shown by the actual education, formally going to school to get the degree. It is shown by the Arudha of the 9th house, right? A9. From A9, Mars and Venus are
11 degrees Virgo.
Yeah, they are basically the second and third lords who are together within 8 degrees, right? The third and eighth lord is Mars, and second lord is Venus. So Venus is the second lord who's I think possibly in the first house. Second lord who's in the first house, because it was it is close. He's either in the first house or in the second house.
He is actually in the first house, but he is at 10 degrees. So
What I mean is, if the time is a little off, he could be in the second house also. Bottom line is, he is either in the first house or second house, but he is the second lord in one sign. So he is a Marka, and he is with third lord. We always say third and second lord being together, or seventh and eighth lord being together are Marka combinations. So here second and third lords are together from A9, and it is Venus Antardasha in Mars Dasha that gave the death of this education, right? So that makes sense. So stopping education in that period makes sense, and the kind of education she did also makes sense. Now what about masters? April 2006 was Rahu.
But I don't. How do you say that she stopped it? She's continuation of after the bachelor's, continued and graduated.
But A9 stopped and A2 started. A9 was stopped by getting the degree. She got a degree, and she no longer goes to that college. She goes somewhere else and to pursue a different degree, not to pursue the same degree.
But
right?
Naturally, that's what happens, right? In the
Right.
process They take
Right.
the BSc doesn't. Maybe the college doesn't.
It ended. It's not a bad thing. See, normally when we say Maraka, you think of it as a bad event. Death is a bad event. But again, even death, this dies and another thing will start. So just like that, bachelor's dies and master starts. So A9 only cares about your bachelor's. It shows bachelor formal, going to so and so college to get so and so degree, going to so and so classes. That is all it shows. If that is done, and you are going to go to a different college for a different degree in a different thing now, this doesn't care about it. The Arudha of that will care about it. So as far as this is concerned, done. You are done basically, you are finished. So it's not a bad thing when we say Marka. It's Marka for, there are Markas for A9. But if you look from Lagna, they are the 5th and 6th lords together in the 11th house. 11th lord and 5th lord together in the 11th house. Actually that's a good yoga. 5th and 11th lords together in the 11th house is a good Raj yoga. And 5th and 6th lords together is Dhimanta yoga. So basically her own self got enriched. She got a nice degree, Dhimanta yoga, so she is recognized with a degree. And there is a Raj yoga, 5th and 11th lord in the 11th house. 11th house is fulfillment of desire. So she must have been happy about it, about the degree. So it's not a bad thing for her. But for A9, her tenure at a particular college to get a particular degree, that's dead basically. That's what we mean by Maraka. It's a heavy word, but okay. So why did she do the next education was also computer science? Why was it so? Now the second house, if you see, it has Mercury in it. Second house has directly Mercury. Mercury is in the second house. He is at 27 degrees and Lagna is at 8 degrees. So he is actually in the second house. He is not in the first house. So second house, he is the only planet there. There are some aspects, but as far as owning is concerned, Sun has a very strong aspect, Venus has an aspect, but as far as being there, it is Mercury alone. So Mercury is in the second house. So given that there is And moreover, on the second lord, he has 66% aspect. If you look at the second lord Saturn, he has 66.9% aspect. Right? So, he has a more than half aspect on the second lord, and he is in the second house itself. So, masters also being in computer science is possible. So, all this is being given by Mercury.
So connection between, say, 9th and second house can be
Continuation basically. No, even otherwise post graduation can be given, but this shows that there is a continuation. Same planet is influencing both. For some people there is a change. They will do computer science and then they will go to, or they will do mechanical engineering, then they will go to computer science. Now, who gave the end of this? Who gave the end of this? Rahu. They are at 15 degrees in Virgo. Right? Why Rahu is Maraka for A2? Well, malefic in the seventh house. A2 is at 8 degrees Pisces. A2 is at 7 degrees Pisces. So Rahu at 15 degrees Virgo, he is in the 7th house. He is the 12th lord in the 12th lord of giving up in the 7th house. Any malefic in the 7th house or 2nd house is a Maraka. So he can kill.
He would have probably given it and also taken it.
He would have won.
He would have started the masters in Rahu itself. 2007
Or she may, okay. When did she start, do you know?
Yeah, if he finishes April 2006, he has to start sometime
2000.
Yeah, it's Mars only, not Rahu. Rahu didn't start because if you look at Mars now, why did Mars start it? It is basically Mars moon that started. Why did Mars start? For me? Yeah. See, moon, why did Mars moon, right? Why did moon start her education, master's education? Moon is with the second lord. Moon is at 9 degree Taurus, Saturn is at 7.5 degree Taurus. So moon and Saturn are conjoined. So on virtue of being with the second lord, moon can give master's education. But why Mars? What is the link of Mars? Mars on the second house from Lagna, he has 59% aspect, more than half aspect, and on Saturn, the lord of the second house, he has 84% aspect. Right? Second lord, some 60% or something we saw. Yeah, 59% aspect on second house. And Mercury, the planet who is actually giving all this education, he has 92% influence on him, Mars. So, because of all these reasons, Mars can start the education, the master's education. Okay. So, things do make sense. Now, what we can tell is, what can we tell? We haven't really rectified. Lagna is at 8 degrees Sagittarius, and if Lagna goes back to Scorpio, right? Lagna is in Scorpio, let us say. Then does Mercury giving masters make sense? Well, Mercury has to be in the second house. We can't have Mercury in the third house. So, what does that mean? Lagna cannot be below 27 degrees in Sagittarius. If it is below 27 degrees in Sagittarius, 27 degrees in Sagittarius or Scorpio. Below 27 degrees in Scorpio, Lagna, false. Then Mercury will be in the third house. So, unfortunately, software doesn't tell you exactly how to see that, but we can estimate that, right? So, how much time do we have? For this 8.5 degree we have here. Lagna is at 8.5 degrees Sagittarius. For it to change sign, we have 1.5 minutes earlier. Now, the extra degree that we need is Mercury is at 27.47. So, basically 2 degree 13 minutes, right? So, that's approximately 1/4 of this 825. So, add 1/4 of, so the leeway we have already given by the software is 1 minute 34 seconds. Add 1/4 of it on top of it. So, 134 approximated as 60 plus 40 approximately, or 60 plus 36, 96. So, divided by 4 is 24. So, add 24 to 134, so approximately 2 minutes. So, if it changes back by more than 2 minutes, we can't explain the master's education being computer science. I mean, we may be still able to explain, but it becomes a much bigger case. This is very nice case. Saturn, Moon, see, then Jupiter will be the second lord. Actually, you know what? We don't even want Jupiter to be the second lord. If Saturn is the second lord, then Mars having aspect on them, Moon having being with him, that makes more sense for. And moreover, this year 2 in Pisces is actually nice. That may change if you change the time. So I think we have a leeway of probably something like 1 minute or 134. We don't really have 2 minutes. Okay. So the time forward error cannot be more than 17 seconds, as we saw earlier based on natal Navamsa and Jyothishya, and backward error cannot be more than 1 or 1.5 minutes. So maximum 1.5 minutes. So we have a pretty reasonable time. Now let's go on to give a prediction. Actually, before giving prediction, we haven't seen Saptamsa at all. Let's go to Saptamsa. What do you think of the, let us actually change all the aspects to Saptamsa. Is it weak? Why is it weak? What makes it weak? Rasi chart. Okay, fifth lord of Rasi chart is Jupiter. Right? He is the controlling planet for marriage. He is debilitated. Right. You are right. And he is debilitated in the 7th house. 8th house.
So we have to see reverse, right? We have to cross K2.
What? We are not looking at the first child being male or female, all that.
No,
we are just
to first child to happen, right?
forget the first child. We are just seeing how strong this chart is. Okay. So one thing we normally do is we take the fifth lord of Rasi chart, right? He is the controlling planet. We see how strong he is in the Saptamsa. And right, and he is Karka for children. So how strong he is, that we see. He is in the 8th house. Okay. So what are the other problems? Jupiter being debilitated is definitely a serious problem, and how is fifth lord of tell me about it. Venus, how is he? He is in Manakarka Sthana. It seems like he is in the 7th house, but if you actually look at the longitude, Lagna is at 16 degrees Gemini, Jupiter is at 5 degrees Sagittarius. So he is actually in the 6th house. So fifth lord of the Saptamsa is in Manakarka Sthana. And the fifth lord of Rasi chart, he is in debility and he is in 8th house. So,
What is the Lagna you got in Saptamsa?
Gemini.
Fifth lord is
Venus. And he is in Manakarka Sthana. He is in the 6th house, housewide. So, there are two fundamental weaknesses, Jupiter and Venus. And Mars in Lagna, is it good? He is in the 12th house. Okay, it's not that bad then. He is the 6th lord in the 12th house. He is not a problem. How is he? He is in the 2nd house. Yeah, Lagna chart is in the 2nd house. With a little error, he could be in the first house, in the 3rd house itself. So he is in the 2nd house or 3rd house. Either way, it's not really ringing any alarm. It's perfectly fine. Mercury is perfectly fine. Anything else? Any other problems you have? And like you said, Moon, you said is in Manakarka Sthana. Yeah, Moon is in Manakarka Sthana. So the 2nd lord of family, Moon is in Manakarka Sthana. 5th lord of children, Venus is in Manakarka Sthana. Jupiter is weak. Anything else? Any other factors that you see? Okay. So we do have some weaknesses. Actually, we have some serious weaknesses. And there is this Sun Rahu. The Saptamsa. How close is it? Sun is at 2 Pisces 41. Rahu Ketu are at the other extreme. So it's not. Sun is not affected. 3rd lord Sun is not. Saturn is in the middle. Sun is at the beginning. Saturn is in the middle. Rahu Ketu at the end. So this combination is not really a problem. So it's mostly Venus, Jupiter, and Moon. Those are the problem. Another thing you can see is you can see the 5th lord from Jupiter. If he is strong, he can give children. But the fifth lord from Jupiter happens to be Venus, and he is actually in the 11th house from Jupiter. So he is not bad. From Jupiter he is not bad. But the thing is, he is not in a friendly sign. He is in an inimical sign. So it's not like there is a really strong planet there. It's not like fifth lord from Jupiter is in 5th house or something, or exalted or something like that. So okay, so that doesn't save either. So the only savior can be Dasha. Actually, statically, forgetting Dasha, this is a very, very weak circumstance. Very.
Some parents who want one child.
Mhm.
Could one parents married in 14 years.
She was born. I see.
Nagadu, she was only
Mhm.
pair
I see. Okay, we'll. Mhm. Yeah, that is what I was concerned about when I saw Sun, the third lord. Third is the house of vitality. So, for getting a child, that is also important. So, third lord Sun is affected by Rahu and Ketu. So, I thought maybe there is some Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. So, there is some evil. Yeah. Moreover, if they are all in Kendra, they can give Sapdosha. So, all these things are there. So, I wanted to see, but Sun is at one end, Rahu Ketu at the other end. So, that weakness doesn't seem that strong to me. Now, what Dasha is running? Now, Rahu Dasha is running. Rahu Dasha, Saturn Anta Dasha. Is that conducive to getting a child? Both are the 9th lords, and Rahu is in the 4th house, Saturn is in the 3rd house. Rahu in the 4th house, is he conducive to getting a child? If at all this first child is born, where do you see the child from? Which house? Sagittarius. The 5th lord, this is an earth sign, Gemini. The 5th is Libra. The lord is Venus, so you see from Venus in Sagittarius.
Both are the third lord for the first child.
Yeah.
There's third house.
Right. So, as far as the first child is concerned, from that Lagna, Venus, Rahu and Saturn are third lords. So, they do have a possibility, they do have a chance. What about after Rahu Saturn, it will be Rahu Mercury. What about Rahu Mercury? Does he have a chance of, is there a chance of that? Does it look better? Why? Yeah. Yeah, from Venus, he is in the he is the 7th lord, but he is in the 9th house. 9th. No, Rahu Saturn. Yeah, I know. Rahu Jupiter is running now, but the Dasha to Antardasha to come next is Rahu Jupiter. So even if she conceives now, it will be childbirth will be in Rahu Saturn. So we are seeing if there is a chance of childbirth in Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mercury, Rahu Ketu, etc. So Rahu, if you see Rahu Saturn from Venus, Rahu is the 3rd lord, so he can give a child, and Saturn is also from Venus. Venus is at 5 degree 40 minutes in Sagittarius. So Saturn is also in the, but they are in the 10th house. Rahu and Saturn are in the 10th house. They are the 3rd lords. On the other hand, if you look at Mercury, he is in the 9th house. He is in the 8th house? No. Oh, I see. No, actually, no. He is in the 9th house. He is at 15 degrees Leo. So, a planet in the 9th house. Moreover, apart from it, forget the first child. In general, for Lagna also you have to see. From Lagna, this Mercury is the Lagna Lord. Lagna Lord gives auspicious things and new beginnings, etc. So, instead of 9th Lord can also give a fortune, but Mercury is a much stronger candidate for childbirth than Saturn. Saturn is basically he is a planet who depletes. So, both Rahu and Saturn giving is unlikely because they don't specifically have anything to do with the 5th house or 5th Lord. They only have, from the 5th Lord, they happen to be the 3rd Lord. That's all. Whereas if you look at Mercury, he happens to be the Lagna Lord and he is in 9th from Venus. So he has a better chance of giving the child. So my guess is compared to now, compared to the Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mercury has a better chance, better potential. And let us see the Tithi Pravesh chart. So 2013 to 2016 we are saying. So let's see the Tithi Pravesh chart of 2013 first. Anything interesting? Hora Lord is Moon. Moon is the ruler of the year. And if you look at the Rashi chart, Jupiter is in Lagna. If you look at the D7, it's on the border. Lagna is either Cancer or Leo. It's right on the border, 29 Cancer 5. So it could be Leo also. So it's tough to say. Okay, let's jump to 2014. Mars is the ruler of the year. Is there anything interesting? Mars is Saturn. Saturn is the fifth lord, right? And in the Saptamsa. If you take the Rashi fifth lord is Jupiter, and in Saptamsa where is he? He is in the ninth house. So even though he is in an inimical sign, he is in a trine. Jupiter in a trine, the Karaka. And if you look at the ninth lord, Venus, who shows the first shade in this chart, right? Where is he? He is in the sixth house. He is in Manakarka Sthana from Lagna. So again, it's not really that good. Let us see the next year's chart. Is there anything interesting in this chart? Ruler of the year is Saturn. Saturn is the ruler of the year, and the fifth lord is in the fifth house. So one auspicious thing. Fifth lord Sun is in the fifth house, and Jupiter, he is the ninth lord. He is in the eighth house, but he is in own sign. So the ninth lord Jupiter is in Mola Trikona. The fifth lord Sun is in own sign. So and also Lagna lord is also in own sign. Lagna lord Mars, he is in eighth house, true, but he is in, even though he is in eighth house, he is basically in one sign. So Lagna lord, fifth lord, and ninth lord, all the three trine lords, they are in one signs. And the fifth lord from Jupiter is also in one sign. Of course, actually first, fifth, and ninth lords, all from Lagna as well as Jupiter, they will all be in one sign. So there is potential. And if you look at the Rashi chart, the fifth lord in the Rashi chart is Mercury.
Why you say that the fifth lord is in its own sign?
Sun.
No, I'm saying here you're saying that, right?
From Jupiter, fifth lord Mars is in one sign here. Not in fifth, but in one sign. So from Jupiter, the Lagna lord, fifth lord, and ninth lord, from both Lagna and Jupiter, it's the same planet, Sun, Mars, and Jupiter.
Okay.
So they are all in one signs. One in one sign, one in one sign, one in Mola Trikona and one sign. So there is potential. Basically, things are looking better. Now Saturn is in the third house. Is he in the third house actually, or second house? Yeah, he is in the third house. Saturn, a malefic, he is in the third house. 11th lord of gains, he is in the third house. And Saturn and Jupiter are aspecting each other. So there are nice indications. Let's go to the Rashi. In the Rashi chart, fifth lord is Mercury. Even though he is in the fourth house, he is basically exalted. Right? And let's see, Sun and Moon are close. Mercury is a little away. I wish he was also close. Anyway, so Mercury Rahu are very close. Mercury and Rahu have a very close yoga. Unfortunately, none of them is Hora Lord. Had they been, it would have been nicer. But the 10th Lord and the 5th Lord are together. So there is a Raj Yoga between Mercury and Rahu. And 5th Lord being exalted in the 5th, exalted and in Mola Trikona. That is a strong factor. And how is that Mercury in Saptamsa? He is in Lagna itself. So the 5th Lord of the Rashi chart is exalted in the Rashi chart, and in Saptamsa he is in Lagna. That is good, associated with the 11th Lord. So overall, I think this year holds more potential. But the thing is that Mercury Dasha lasting till then? It is till 2016 March. So we saw 2015. So there is an overlap between the Mercury Prachant Antardasha in Rahu Dasha in the natal chart as well as the Sthiti Pravesh chart. There is an overlap. So there is a chance during this year. Compared to the previous 2 years, this year looks like a much stronger candidate. Let's quickly check one more thing, Putra Sahamam, right? Oops.
But you check in the natal
Garga is Venus. Okay. Yeah. In this chart, let's see the Putra Sahamam. Putra Sahamam is at 26° Cancer. Putra Sahamam is at 26° Cancer. Is there anybody influencing it? Is there any link of that with the fifth house or fifth lord? 26°. Yeah, right. So the Lord Moon, he is with Mercury. Even though there is a lot of distance, he is basically close to the fifth house cusp and he is with the fifth lord. So Putra Sahamam has a link with the this guy. Let's do one more thing actually. Let's do user defined special point. Alt EU edit. User defined special point. Let's define a special point. Putra Sahamam as a special point. It is Putra Sahamam. Right? Define Putra Sahamam as a special point. And then you can get the divisional longitude of that in the Saptamsa. Let's see the special point that we define, which is at 26° Cancer. See where it is in D7. What I want to see is there any good influence in D7. So in D7, Putra Sahamam is at 2° Cancer. Right? It is at 2° Cancer.
You see SP?
Yeah, SP. Or whatever name you give. When you define a special thing, you can call it Putra Sahamam PS. You can define Putra Sahamam PS, whatever you want. You can just leave it as special point name and the symbol is SP. Then it will show as SP in the chart and also, but in the longitude display, all divisional longitudes, its name will be given, not the symbol. So it will say special point. So that is at 2° in D7, it is at 2° Cancer, 5 minutes. Right? Degree Virgo. Where is it in the Rashi? 26 Cancer 1. Okay. Alt EU. Make sure 000 for the delta. 0° 0 minute 0 second ahead of. Select Sahama and put Putra Sahama there. And then say OK. If there is an offset here, like 1°, 30° away, if you are experimenting earlier, then okay. Yeah, 2° Cancer. So okay, let's go back to the previous chart. So 2° Cancer. So the thing is, what we are looking for is it strong, or does it have an aspect by somebody who's promising a child in this chart? Is it linked to the fifth house, or somebody who's promising a child in this chart, or is it otherwise strong? So the lord of the sign, the lord of the Putra Sahamam is Moon. He is in Moon sign. So that is one good thing. Moreover, Jupiter has an aspect on it. Right? I'm not sure if the aspect evaluation shows the special point also. I'm not sure. I don't know how I programmed it. But you can estimate, yeah, it is showing.
It should show.
Oh, it's actually, it has no aspect. Why does he have no aspect?
8 లో పడిపోతుందేమో అనిపించింది.
8 also, there should be 64% aspect, right?
is at 13 degrees Sagittarius.
Saturn is aspecting. Saturn and Rahu have the highest aspect.
We are looking at aspect evaluation.
Yeah. You know what? Special point calculation is messed up. I have to fix it because it shows the longitude in D7 as 26, Sagittarius 53. That's wrong. That may be natal. Yeah, natal longitude. Right.
So it didn't change it.
It didn't change.
It picked the natal one.
Yeah. So when it to find the divisional longitude to see the aspect evaluation, it basically picked the natal chart. Oh, for special point. Other planets it is picking the right one. See what I am saying? So when you went to the Tithi chart, other planets their longitudes have changed. Sun is no. Forced natal chart? No. Oh, I said forced natal chart for aspectal position. That's the thing. Okay, I unchecked it. Now it should show. Now 2 degrees Cancer. Jupiter has 85% aspect. It should, because it is between the 7th and 8th house. It is actually in the 7th house and it is before the 8th house cusp. 2 degree Cancer, Jupiter is at 15 degrees Sagittarius. So it should be in the 7th house. So it should be between 100 and 75. So I was wondering why it's not showing. There is a bug. So okay, so when you do the aspect evaluation, uncheck the forced natal chart even when displaying Tadika TP transit. So the thing is, you want to see the impact of the transit chart or TP chart on the natal chart. At the time of this TP, which planet is aspecting, let's say, natal Puttasamam in D7 or natal Vivahasamam in D9. So you can see those things also. Natal Venus, who's aspecting.
If you force it.
If you force it. You can see cross chart impacts, right? Right now, Jupiter may be influencing my natal Rahu in T24. So like that. So you to see that. So to see that, you have that button. So that the checkbox should be unchecked. Then it will show the Tithi Pravesh Saptams. Anyway, so the Putra Sahamam, which is at 2 degree 5 minutes in Cancer in the Saptamsa chart, that is having a very strong aspect of Mars, 96% aspect, Jupiter, 85% aspect. So these are the strongest aspects. So Mars is the Lagna Lord and who is in one sign, and Jupiter is the 9th Lord who is in 9th house. And Mars is also 5th Lord from Jupiter. So both of them are very important planets. And their aspect on the Puttasamam is auspicious. In addition to Puttasamam Lord in the Rashi chart being with 5th Lord. So that and this together, this is basically, this is good. Now let us see 2015 end and 2016 beginning. That seems like the period. Let's see the dashas. Tithi Ashtotri dasha. What are the dashas in this time period? Up to Mars dasha, I think. Based on the natal Vimshotri that was ending, the Maitri Pachanda dasha was ending in March-April time frame, right? So up to Mars dasha. So it can be Rahu, Venus, Sun, Moon, Mars. These are the dashas. Mars of course can give, being the Lagna Lord. He can of course give a child. Secondly, can Sun give a child? Of course. He is the strongest candidate because he is the 5th Lord in the 5th house. So January 2016 is the best opportunity. The next is March, April 2016. So first 3 months of 2016. That is the period of likelihood. Let's make a chart for, let's say January 20, 2016. Let's see the planetary position then. And Jupiter will be at the end of Leo. Jupiter will be at the end of Leo. January 20, 2016. Just some date. Let's see. Actually, January 7, 2016, Jupiter will become stationary. Using the stationary transit thing, Jupiter was moving direct. It became retrograde. Where? At 29 degree Leo. Okay? At 29 degree Leo on January 7, 2016, Jupiter becomes stationary. So, when he is at 29 Leo, does he have an impact on any key point in the natal chart? That's what we want to see. Where is D7, right? Natal chart. Sun 24 Leo, where? In what chart are you getting? See. What chart are you looking at?
Mercury is in 15 degree Leo, sir.
Yeah, but that's too far.
That's too far.
That's too far. That's okay. Basically, if somebody is very close to that or being very closely aspected, then you can be almost confident. But that is not happening. And see if any Arudhavada is aspected by Jupiter, not really, in the D7. No, actually this is also not that important. Okay, so bottom line is we have nothing really that interesting. Now let's see, forget the stationary transit, let's see other, any other transit. One second, let's see Saturn. Okay, let's generally see where Saturn is. Actually, let us go back to the natal Saptamsa chart. Who are the important planets for childbirth? Venus is an important planet. But the thing is, Venus transit, if we see when he is aspecting A5 or things like that, we have a 5-month, 6-month window. So it won't let us narrow down. So we can't really use Venus transit. Who are the other planets who are interesting? Jupiter is the 5th lord in the natal Rasi chart. So Jupiter's transit is one important factor. And what about Saturn? He is the Antardasha. Actually, Rahu is the Antardasha lord, right? So Rahu is important planet. So let us look at Rahu. He is the Dasha lord. And also Saturn is the 9th lord. So let us look at Saturn and Rahu transits. So at that time, on January 20, 2016, Saturn is at 19 Scorpio. So around 19 degrees Scorpio, is there anything interesting in the Saptamsa or Rasi?
20 degree Scorpio, sir.
20 degree Scorpio. 20 degree Scorpio. Is there anything interesting? A2 in D7, A2 is at 18 Capricorn 23. A2 is basically family. Second house is the house of family. 18 Capricorn 23. So Saturn owns that Arudha and he has a strong influence. So there is a chance of somebody coming into the family. But the thing is, there could be adoption or it could be a childbirth. You can't tell. If it's A2, you can't really tell that it's a childbirth. And let's see, is there any other planet? Actually Jupiter. That is good. So Jupiter of D7 is at 17 Capricorn 18, right? Do you see that? And in transit, Saturn, who is at 19 Scorpio 4. So he has third aspect, right? So there is a Saturnine influence on Jupiter. Jupiter, who is the 5th lord of natal Rasi chart. Let's do one more thing. Let's do the progression thing. Let's do, actually we didn't see Rahu. Let's see Rahu also. Where is Rahu? Oh, Rahu is actually conjoining Jupiter. He is at 29 degree Leo. 29 degree Leo. Is there anything interesting in the natal D7 around 29 degree Leo? There is. And let's see Arudhas. Nothing in the Arudhas. Okay. So planet wise there is one thing very interesting. No, don't just look at somebody who's there. Aspects. So is there any aspect, is there any interesting natal position closely aspected by that Rahu? When Rahu is transiting 29 degree Leo, is there a, see,
Rahu itself.
Rahu himself, natal Rahu is at 28 degree Virgo. Rahu has full aspect on the second house from him. So, right? So Rahu is basically within like less than a degree. He is aspecting his own natal position and he is the Dasha Lord. So Dasha Lord in transit, he is aspecting his own natal D7 position. So that is conducive. And he is the 9th Lord in the Rasi chart, apart from being Dasha Lord. So that is very interesting. Let's apply the progress Vimshottari Dasha progression research. Okay, let's say January 20. Actually, even if you change by a few months, the positions won't change that much. So this is fine. 2016 January 20 noon. So let's make Vimshottari Dasha progression. Okay. So the progressed, if you look at the progress positions, the Jupiter is the fifth lord of the natal Rashi chart. Let's see his progress position. His progress position is 16 Cancer. His progress position is 16 Cancer. What we want to see is anybody aspecting him? Is anybody aspecting 16 Cancer? Anybody having to do with child aspecting 16 Cancer? Not really, right? Yeah, there is no aspect of interest on 16 Cancer. You can say Saturn at 19 Scorpio has half aspect, but don't worry about half aspects. It should be at least 3/4. So on progress Jupiter there is no aspect. Is there any other progress position that is closely aspected? We are looking at 2 degree kind of aspect, 2-3 degrees, nothing more than that. Any other planet being closely aspected? Moon. Where is progress Moon? Where is progress Moon? You see progress Moon, he is at 27 degrees Sagittarius, right? Have you made the progress charts already? Confused? Okay, go to miscellany, select the progressions, bottom tab, and enter the date of interest, January 20, 2016, 12:00 noon, and click on the Vimshottari Dasha progression button, and then dialog box will come and say only the Lagna, 9 planets and other bodies available as Vimshottari Dasha start points are accurate in this chart, others are dummy, right? And then once you have the chart, Lagna should say 4 Sagittarius 45. Actual Lagna is in Scorpio, right? But the thing is, if you keep progressing, it changes. For example, Moon is in Swati. At the time of birth, Moon was in, actually let's go back to natal. Moon was at 26 Leo, 39, right? Moon was in Uttara, Pura Phalguni. But he was running Venus Dasha at birth. But right now he is running Rahu Dasha. So if you make the progress chart, it will show Moon in Swati. Similarly, Lagna Vimshottari will be Ketu Dasha, that is why it is in Mola. And it will calculate exactly how much of the Dasha is over, and based on it, it will place it. So, do you get Lagna, progress Lagna at 4 Sagittarius 45 and progress Moon at 12 Leo, 12 Libra 31. Okay, now go to basics and get the all divisional longitudes. Or you can do in the same window, but it will be too small. In the miscellany window, this will be too small to see. So, go to see the D7 positions of various planets. So, if anybody is very closely being aspected by somebody associated with that house in the natal chart, somebody who signifies childbirth in the natal chart, in the natal Rashi and D7, that planet should be closely aspecting somebody again who is auspicious for childbirth in the progress position. And that it should not be like 5-6 degrees, it should be within 2-3 degrees, very close aspect. Then there is a possibility of that result. And one thing that I have seen so far is this guy, Moon. Progress Moon is at 27 Sagittarius 40. And where are Rahu and Jupiter at that time? They are at 29 degree Leo and 28, they are at 29 degree Leo in transit. That if you make the transit chart for January 20, Jupiter and Rahu, the Dasha Lord Rahu, the 9th Lord and Dasha Lord Rahu, and Jupiter, the Karaka and the 5th Lord in the natal Rashi chart. So those two planets, they are conjoining very close. They are conjoining close to 29 degrees, and they have within 1 degree, they have an aspect on the position of Moon, progress Moon. And if you go back to the natal chart, and 1 second, is there anything else? Okay. So is any Sun has 3/4 aspect. Okay, good. So that was the other thing. So Patrasahamam. So progress Patrasahamam is in Leo 7 degrees, And Sun at 6 Capricorn is aspecting, so Putsasami is also being aspected. Okay, let's go back to the natal chart. What is the significance of moon in the natal Rashi chart? Natal Saptamsa chart. In the natal Rashi chart, he is the 9th lord, showing fortune basically. And in the Saptamsa chart, what does he show? Does he show childbirth? Unfortunately, he is not exactly. He is in the 8th house, he is not in the 9th house. 9th house would have been good. That would have shown. See, the thing is, you get a child because of 4 punya. So 5th and 9th, if they are involved, it is your child being born. Whereas, this is in the 8th house. 8th house shows something suddenly gained or some misfortune, something unfortunate associated with it. And is the 2nd lord. 2nd is the house of family and growing the family. So it shows family, addition to the family, but it doesn't necessarily show child being born. So based on several factors we have seen, this is the best period when something is possible. They should try definitely for this period. And my suspicion is it may be an adoption rather than conceiving a child. That is my suspicion. So they should really keep trying, and we will give a remedy. We'll look at it shortly. But based on the transits and based on the Thipravesh and all the factors we have seen, it seems more likely that there will be an adoption of some kind. And the thing is, moon being in Manakarkasthana, the 5th lord being in Manakarkasthana, Jupiter being debilitated in this Saptamsa chart, all these factors also suggest they make it very difficult to conceive. So probably she will adopt later. She will wait for a few more years, try for her own conceived child, and later they will probably make up their mind and adopt. So, one second. But Thipravesh chart has 5th lord, 9th lord and Lagna lord very strong. So there is a chance of conceiving a child. But the problem is, what Thipravesh shows, the natal chart is not really that strongly showing a childbirth, and the transits are not really that conducive. So that is why I am afraid it may not be conception, even though Thipravesh is showing a lot of fortune. So unless other factors also coincide, it is unlikely. So it may not be, but there is some chance. I can't put a number, but there is a 50% chance or maybe 40% chance of conceiving a child and getting a child in the early 2016. What are the remedies she can do? So when it comes to remedies, there are 2 factors. One is based on the horoscope, which planet is causing trouble, we recommend worship of those planets. That is one thing, or deities associated with them. That is what we normally do. But the thing is, for several things like getting a child, getting married, these things, there are some standard remedies. Suppose you have a lot of loans and you want to pay back. Again, Pranamimocha Gangarka Stotra, or in general praying to Mars. Yeah, Santan Gopal Mantra is very auspicious for this kind of things. Santan Gopal Mantra or Santan Gopal Homa is a very good idea. And one thing I will suggest is, and the Lagna Lord is Mercury, he is in the 3rd house or 2nd house. So Lagna Lord being Mercury, again based on that, Vishnu Avatara, and what Dasha is she running right now? She is running Rahu Dasha. But we are hoping that she will get a child in the Mercury Antardasha. So again Mercury is coming to the fore. So it is Rahu and Mercury. Okay. What I suggest is, actually Santan Gopal Mantra is fine. What I suggest is, on Saturdays, for Rahu, I say on Saturdays and Wednesdays. Saturdays and Wednesdays, for Saturn and Mercury, for Rahu and Mercury basically. For those 2, on those days, read the Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra with Samputikarana with the Santan Gopal Mantra. The thing is, Santan Gopal Mantra is a good mantra, but it is a highly sattvic mantra. And such mantras will work if you do in lakhs. Who will do in lakhs these days? If you really sit down, if you have that kind of dedication, you just sit down every day, you spend like 5-6 hours, keep doing that mantra again and again and again and again, and on top of it, you do that for, let's say, a couple of years. Irrespective of the weaknesses in the chart, it is very likely that unless there is a terrible sapa from a Rishi or something in the previous life, you will get a child. These mantras are very powerful. I am not saying Santan Gopal mantra is not powerful, but people are not dedicated enough to cultivate that power. So Santan Gopal mantra usually doesn't work that easily for people. Such specific mantras don't work that easily. On the other hand, Vishnu Sahasranama mantra, Vishnu Sahasranama stotra is enabled for the Kali Yuga basically. Let me put it that way. Other mantras are generic mantras, but some mantras have been enabled for this age, like Chandi Patham, mantras of Ganesha. That's why they say Kalau Chandi Vinayako, and also worship of Venkateshwara and Vishnu Sahasranama stotra. All these are enabled for the Kali Yuga. They are Sulabha Sadhyas, Hanuman Chalisa, things like that. So what I suggest is do the Vishnu Sahasranama and then do the Santan Gopal mantra, then Vishnu Karo Bhutabhavyo Prahu Bhutakrut Bhutavadbhavo Bhutatma Bhutbhavana, then again Santan Gopal mantra, then the second sloka, then Santan Gopal mantra, then the third sloka, Santan Gopal mantra, like that. And then the 108th sloka is Varmali Gadi Sangi, that one. And then when it is done, again do the Santan Gopal mantra. So between every two slokas there is Santan Gopal mantra. So do like that and do as many times as you can. Basically, if you do once every Wednesday and Saturday, it's hardly sufficient. It won't cut it. It won't make the cut. So if somebody is struggling to live, somebody is very weak, let's say, if you just give 2 grains of rice every day, he won't survive. He will die. Basically, if you want the person to survive, you have to give at least a fistful of rice. So like that, she has to do maybe, if she can do 11 times every Wednesday or Saturday, pick Saturday or Wednesday and do 11 times Vishnu Sahasranama stotra like this. She does it for a year or 2, that has a potential to help. Anything less than that, she can do, but it may or may not work. 11 times on either Wednesday or Saturday, Vishnu Sahasranama with Santan Gopal mantra. And if somebody can actually do home, that will be even better. That is also possible. And in that case, maybe 3 times, do 3 times home. That is also possible. If they can't do that, then go for Japam and do 11 times every day, once every week. And like that, do for a couple of years, 2-3 years, keep doing. And then there is a chance, because the doshas in terms of Moon, Jupiter and Venus, doshas are very severe. Let's actually see one more thing. We didn't see the aspects on Lagna. Who are aspecting Jupiter and Lagna in the Saptamsha? Lagna is being aspected by Venus, and Saturn has a very powerful aspect. Okay. So 8th Lord and a planet in Mankarka Sthana have aspect on Lagna.
And Rahu is there too.
Yeah, Rahu is there. Okay. The weaknesses are quite strong. Very powerful weaknesses are there. So powerful karmas will require powerful remedies. So I don't think just by doing Santan Gopal mantra 108 times every day or something, anything will happen. That is not going to cut it. It needs to take a few hours of our time every day or every week. Then only there is some potential. So with that we will end the class. Good luck to her. I'm not very positive. There is a 40% chance maybe. It's not a very positive case. Unfortunately, we can't change the destinies of people. We can only read them. So with that I will end the class today. Om Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sarve dharmika jana sukhino bhavantu. Yavad bhumandale sanatana dharmo vardhatu. Sriyashatah bhartakhande. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.